DMX. Prologue. All you see is dust, red dirt everywhere, clouding up behind the wheels, choking the air. Arizona desert, hot as hell. But I ain't on no sightseeing trip. I'm out here in a black Benz, dogs barking in the back, pistol under the seat, thoughts heavy in my head. That's how Earl Simmons lives. That's how DMX survives. I don't take the easy trail. Nah, that's for tourists. I push through the rough roads, grinding the tires over rocks and thorns, 'cause the easy path never been for me. My whole life been about cutting through struggle, smashing through obstacles, riding dirty with demons on my shoulder. Dog barking wild, Boo-Boo, 3 months old, already got that fight in him. He don't know nothing about this world yet. But he loyal already, teeth sharp, spirit raw. That's me in a way. A pup that had to grow teeth quick, had to fight for every scrap just to survive. Engine humming, heat blasting through the windshield. And in the rear view, I see shadows. Not just the security tailing me, not just the people waiting on my next move. I see ghosts, my past, my mistakes, my hunger. Reporters want to call me an artist. Streets call me a problem. Labels call me a liability. But me? I'm just a man trying to find meaning in the madness. Pain been with me so long, it's like another dog riding shotgun. But I keep moving, 'cause stopping ain't an option. See, life taught me real quick. Ain't no peace just waiting for you. Every night I close my eyes, I'm haunted. Voices, memories, loss. I tell myself, keep pushing. There's a reason for this. There's something in the suffering. But sometimes, I don't know. Sometimes it just feels like another brick on my back, another scar on my soul. I got this recorder in my hand. Interviewer asking me questions, trying to dig inside my head. I pause. Do I let him in? Do I open up the wounds? 'Cause once you let people peek inside, there ain't no taking it back. But I know this story gotta be told. Not for pity, not for fame, but because maybe, just maybe, somebody out there gon' hear it and understand. I tell him, walk with me. See what I see, hear what I hear. Then you'll know me. That's how my story starts. Ain't no fancy intro, ain't no sugarcoat. Just me, the desert, my dog, and the weight of everything I've been through. This is the only history of Earl. This is the world of DMX. Chapter 1. First Memories. Yo, name's Earl Simmons. Government stamped me in December 70, Mount Vernon, New York. Mom's was Annette, Pop's was Joe, but he bounced before I even knew his face. I ain't got no middle name, no extra titles, just Earl. Straight. That's how the block knew me. Mom's already had my sister Benita, so when she got pregnant with me, life wasn't sweet. She moved us into this one-bedroom spot in a building called the Roker. Picture it. Dark hallways, broken elevators, piss stains, tobacco spit. Roaches running rent-free, water cold half the time. That was home. I came out sick, lungs weak, asthma on deck. Nights I couldn't breathe, moms dragging me to ER, doctors hooking me up to machines, giving me shots, telling us we broke but still gotta pay. That fight for air? That's why my voice always came out like a bark. I was growling at the world before I could even talk. First memory that stuck? I'm a lil' dude, maybe 3, sitting in the crib with a lollipop and a Super Ball. Ball bounces wild. I chase it out the door. Next thing you know, I'm halfway across the street. Cars screeching, horns blasting. Some white lady yelling, "Stop!" like I'm a damn dog. Tires miss me by inches. Cats start talking lawsuit money, 10 G's maybe. But we ain't see a dime. Lesson 1. Grown folks count money over your near death, but you still hungry at night. Moms tried to keep me in that Jehovah's Witness lane. Kingdom Hall, little picture books of lions and floods. Conventions where old dudes with mics call on kids like me. One time they put me on the spot. I said something slick. Crowd laughed. Dude said, "Excellent, young man." For 5 seconds I felt seen. Then it was back to nothing. Music was Mom's escape. She'd rock the spinners, I'll be around. Tapes on deck, singing like Chaka Khan in a 2-room apartment. She had a lil crew, Eileen and some girls, singing like they was on the Apollo. That sound stayed in me. Rhythm became my weapon, my armor. But the men she brought around? Different story. Cats like Charlie Mack in a fake uniform, acting tough. Or Cookie, the dude who baked bread and brought food stamps, smiling too much. Something off about him. Too friendly, eyes too slick. I ain't have a word for predator yet, but the dogs in my chest barked every time he came around. Mom's herself? She was tough. Carried pain on her back, and when it got heavy, she passed it down. Sometimes with a belt, sometimes calling another man to handle me. I learned quick. Ain't nobody coming to protect you. If you don't fight for yourself, you food. By 5, I was already squaring up with cats twice my size. Teachers saw problem child, I saw survival. If somebody stepped wrong, I went at him. Didn't matter if I lost. Nobody walked away thinking I was soft. Pain became language. Belts, fists, hospital trips, all that taught me the same thing. World don't care if you crying. Bite back or get eaten. And Pops? Dude never around. Only thing I got from him was bad lungs and rhythm. They said he was a sax player, smooth with women, never with bills. Moms used to spit venom, you just like your father. I ain't even know him, but I grew up hating his ghost. Through all that, my sister Benita held me down. When I couldn't breathe, she'd run for Moms, try to help, sit by me till I calmed. That was love. Real, no bullshit love. So yeah, that was my first world. A 1-bedroom cage in the Roker, filled with asthma attacks, belts, fake smiles from grown men, gospel songs at Kingdom Hall, and a mother's voice that could sound like music 1 second and thunder the next. But out of all that chaos, a seed got planted. The bark in my throat, the rhythm in my chest, the hunger in my belly. That's where X was born. Not in no studio, not in no label meeting. In a cold apartment where every night was survival and every morning was proof we won again. Barely. Chapter 2. Our Side of the World. I was 4 when Moms moved us into Building 80, School Street in Yonkers. Folks said it was better than the Roker. Maybe so, but it was still the projects. Long hallways that smelled like bleach and piss. Elevators that ain't work half the time, roaches crawling like they paid rent. Same struggle, just a new address. School Street was our side of Yonkers, mostly black and Puerto Rican, tucked away from the shiny downtown. White folks barely crossed into our blocks, and when they did, it wasn't to help. City services? Forget it. You needed a white face just to get a repair done. The hood had its own heartbeat, though. Music from windows, dice on the concrete, kids hooping on bent rims. If New York City was the show, Yonkers was the alley behind it. We had a 1-bedroom. Heat banged in the pipes like drums, and nights I'd sleep on the floor, tucking my legs so mice couldn't crawl over me. I hated them things. But you get used to what you can't kill. Food came and went. On good days, Moms made cornmeal pancakes, thick and sweet. Whole apartment smelling like joy. On bad days, it was plain cornflakes, soggy with no sugar. Hunger was always around, sometimes loud, sometimes quiet. I learned to go to sleep early just to escape it. Mom's had her moments. She sang like Chaka Khan, blasting Spinner's records till the tape deck got hot. She and her girls would practice like they were Apollo headliners, and for a while the projects felt like a stage. I'd sit in the corner soaking it in, thinking maybe sound could save me. But Mom's also carried pain, and when it got heavy, she dropped it on me. Belts, harsh words, sometimes calling another man to handle it. That taught me quick. Nobody's protecting you but you. My Uncle Pinky was one of the few bright spots. Cool dude, always fixing TVs or radios, rolling in his blue Cadillac Coupe de Ville like a king in exile. When he stayed over, I felt safe. Even if mice were running the night shift, he wasn't street. But he showed me another way to hustle. Using your hands, fixing instead of breaking. I respected that. Outside, the block was its own school. I'd post up at the window, watching older kids move, memorizing the swagger. Hallways were slick from wet tile. I'd race shopping carts like cars, crashing more than winning, but loving the speed. My toys were matchbox cars, whole tournaments on paper ramps, each one with a name and a story. That was my imagination saving me from walls closing in. Pops drifted in and out, a ghost with a paintbrush, selling watercolors on corners. I didn't know him enough to love him, but I picked up his craft. I'd draw characters off the TV, no tracing, just pencil grinding into paper. That was peace. Only time Moms would let me be. Life in School Street taught me codes. How to read footsteps through the pipes, how to smell trouble before it arrived, how to make something out of nothing and pretend you meant it. Hunger, mice, broken elevators, all that built me. Every belt swing, every soggy cornflake, every roach crawling across my line of sight. That's what sharpened the bark in my throat. So when you hear me later, voice raw, pain mixed with prayer, know it started here. Building 80, School Street, our side of the world, where a little boy learned to bite back before he knew how to rhyme. Chapter 3, From Bright to Bored. Teachers kept saying the same 2 words about me, very bright. Then they'd whisper a third one when they thought I couldn't hear. Manipulative. I ain't know what either meant yet. Only that books felt like open doors, and I liked walking through them. I was that little kid, diving head first into pages. Dr. Seuss, Where the Wild Things Are. Monsters big as buildings, words bouncing like rubber balls. Principal clocked it and slid me into the advanced reading group with kids older than me. 6, 7 years old, and I'm sitting there with a paperback like it's a steering wheel. They marched us out the main class for special sessions. I'd finished the chapter before the teacher finished her warning. Felt like the school finally found something I could outrun. 3rd grade, I met Ms. Smith. No sugar, tight bun, rules for breakfast, lunch, and breathing. She had that voice that cut through noise like scissors. Spelling bees? That was my ring. I'd stand there and spell the word clean, then wait while the next kid got folded. Only thing holding me back was lunch. Other kids pulled cash and bought extras in the cafeteria. I had a punch card that barely covered a mystery tray. If I was lucky, Moms gave me crackers or a slice of bread so thin the light shined through. Still, hungry or not, I wanted that A. I memorized everything. Every week, a fresh list of words. I'd have them locked by Tuesday. I knew the whole pledge, knew how to spell Empire State Building before I ever saw it. I'd roll home after school and ask, "Ma, what's the Empire State Building?" She'd cut the stove low, tell me, "Go to your room, baby." You ask too many questions. Curiosity never fed nobody in our house, but it kept me alive. Truth? By the end of third grade, I was bored. The test they gave us once a week wasn't enough. I'd finish my work, look around, and time would just sit there with its shoes off. That's when trouble started flirting with me. First it was spitballs. Tiny paper bombs launched from a pen shaft. Splat. Then erasers. First one is an accident, the fifth is a hobby. Ms. Smith kept me after school so much, I started treating detention like a second shift. I learned being the smartest and being the wildest ain't that far apart when you ain't got nothing in between. I wanted the things other kids flashed. Matchbox cars, fresh folders, that crisp smell of a new pencil case. Their folks slid them toys just because. Mine couldn't. So I started making noise. You can't buy attention? Steal it. I became that kid teachers talk about in the lounge. Earl again. Some days I'd plant myself, say nothing, arms folded, pencil down, just to see what power felt like. Other days I'd flame out, crack the class up, then take my punishment like it owed me money. They pushed to test my IQ when the arguing got loud. Teachers saying I didn't belong in the regular class. My scores outpacing kids older than me. After that, talk of promotion. Top of the grade, they said. I should have been proud. Instead, I felt like they were measuring a storm with a ruler. One afternoon, I didn't go home. Rolled with my man Baron to his place. He had a clean spot, moms that smiled and asked questions, and a dad who actually came back from the store. We grabbed snacks, hit the arcade, watched TV we didn't pay for, talked about bikes we couldn't ride past dark. When it got late, Baron got that worried look, and I saw blue lights skating the window. Cops pulled up. You know how much you scared your mother, Earl? I shrugged. Didn't have the language for sorry yet. They asked if I wanted to go home. I shook my head no. Then I saw moms folded in the back of the squad car, eyes red, shoulders jumping. That's when guilt finally touched me. Back at the apartment, she pulled me into the kitchen, hands shaking, voice low. Don't ever do that again. She kept the front door open like proof I was safe now, and I smelled the hallway, bleach, sweat, the whole building breathing around us. Pinky tried to smooth it over. Moms cried. I didn't. Not out of tough guy pride, I just ran out of tears back in Roker. After that night, I stayed out more. If chaos is the only weather you know, rain feels like home. Teachers kept telling moms, he's brilliant. Moms told neighbors, he don't listen. Parents warned their kids away, don't play with Earl. My own mother would throw the hood version of a prayer at me. Come straight home, upstairs, to the floor. But I wanted outside like oxygen. The more they fenced me in, the more I learned to climb. Punishments leveled up. Extension cords, hangers, broomsticks, whatever was arm's length. My sister tried to shield me. Moms would wave her off. You out this late? You must be doing something. Where's my money? I'd say, I ain't doing nothing, Ma. She'd catch me anyway. Stick smacking cheek, pride cracking like a plate. I loved her and hated those moments with the same fire. School looked at me like I was a walking contradiction. Smart enough to skip a grade, stubborn enough to skip detention. Teachers wanted me to sit still. The block demanded I stay ready, so I split down the middle, a student with a short fuse. Kids brought toys they weren't supposed to. I'd clap my hands and pretend it was a reward ceremony while I made them hand everything over. If you couldn't be the kid with the new car, be the judge who collects them. Somewhere in there, the main office thought I had moved. I'd been bouncing between addresses enough that even the school lost track. They called moms in like the principal was the block captain. We can't let him go, they said. He's our top student. That sounded sweet. but sweet don't keep the lights on. We walked home slow, Mom's quiet, me counting cracks in the sidewalk and wishing I knew how to fix the space between us. Thing is, brilliance with no outlet becomes a weapon. I used mine on time. If a worksheet took 10 minutes, I did it in 3, and spent the other 7 learning how far a pencil eraser could fly. If a quiz took 20, I finished in 12 and practiced the art of not blinking while the room watched me. That's power to a kid, making adults react with nothing but silence. At night, I'd replay the day, every laugh I stole, every word I spelled, every strike I dodged. Then I'd hear moms in the next room, counting coins, counting problems, counting the ways a son breaks your heart while he tries to prove he has one. I didn't have the language then, but I know it now. I was starving for more than food. So yeah, bright? Bet. But the brighter I got, the more the walls showed up. A smart kid in a broke world is like a lit match in a windy hallway. Either you blow out or you start a fire. I chose flame. Not because I wanted to burn, but because heat was the only thing that ever made people look my way and say my name right. That's how a boy who loved books turned into a kid who loved trouble. Not because trouble was cool, but because boredom will choke you if you don't give it something to chew on. Chapter 3. That's the science. I didn't change. The room got smaller, and when the room shrinks, the bark grows. Chapter 4. The Hollaway House. Life was different at 19 Lamartine Terrace, my grandma Mariella Holloway's house. She had 11 kids, my pop's one of them, and I was her first grandson. Compared to the projects, her place felt like a whole other world. Everybody else was cramped in apartments, but Grandma's crib was the headquarters for my father's side. Uncles and aunts everywhere, Collie, Buzzy, Rhonda, Raquella. Some older, some younger, all of us packed in tight, wild energy spilling into the street. When I got the chance, I'd hop the bus just to be there. At Grandma's, I wasn't just another kid dodging roaches. I was part of something big, a crew with roots. Grandma held it down like no one else. She wasn't loud, didn't beat me like moms did, but when I had an asthma attack, she knew what to do. She'd sit with me, rub my back, whisper that I was gonna be okay. Even when I thought I was slipping away, she kept me breathing. That woman was safety in human form. Sundays were gospel. I'd wake up to the sound of her radio blasting Amazing Grace, the smell of food heavy in the air, cousins tumbling over each other in the kitchen. My great-grandmother, Aunt Raquella, all of them gathered, gossiping, laughing, telling stories while pots bubbled on the stove. Football games on TV, plates stacked high. It wasn't fancy, but it was family, and that was gold. We had a little yard, and for kids like us, that was a kingdom. We'd dare each other to jump walls, sprint across porches, chase each other until somebody hit the ground. Collie and Buzzy always took it too far. But that was the fun. Pushing limits, feeling like you owned the block for 5 minutes. One time I chased a butterfly across the yard. Bright wings, floating like magic. I caught it, gripped it too tight. By the time I opened my hands, it was dead. I cried like crazy, realizing I'd just killed the most beautiful thing I'd ever touched. Grandma told me soft, "If you love something, let it go. If it comes back, it's yours. If it don't, it never was." That stuck with me. Heavy lesson for a little boy, but real. The Holloway House was my balance. Projects made me hard. Grandma's house reminded me I still had a heart. In School Street, you learn to fight. At Lamartine, you learn to breathe. Chapter 5. Earl v. the Board of Education. By the time I hit 5th grade, school didn't know what to do with me. The higher my test scores climbed, the more I slipped through their hands. Teachers stopped trying to figure me out. Too wild for the smart kids, too sharp for the troublemakers. I didn't fit either box. But the streets left marks that school couldn't ignore. Some mornings I walked in with welts on my back, couldn't even sit down right. Nurses pulled me aside, lifted my shirt, saw the bruises running down my legs. Suddenly the whispers started. We might have to take him out of this home. Courts got involved. That's when the system first reached for me. They sent me to see some child shrink, said I was a danger to myself. Truth? I was just tired of being hurt, tired of being broke, tired of pretending I was okay when every night I was fighting for air and fighting for peace. At school I stopped caring. I snapped on kids, cursed out teachers, flipped desks. Punishment didn't scare me. Nothing did. One day a teacher tried to grab me, calm me down. I swung wild, chairs flying, spit flying, yelling, "Don't touch me! Get the fuck off me!" That was my last day in that classroom. They said I needed more than detention, more than suspensions. Judge looked at Moms, shook his head. You can't control him, he said. Papers shuffled, and just like that, I was gone. Sent up to Julia Dykeman Andrus Children's Home, a group home 20 minutes from where I grew up. But a whole world away, 10 years old. That was the start of my first bid. Not behind prison walls yet, but it felt like the training ground. Chapter 6, 3 meals a day and a snack first day. I hit Andrus. It felt like another planet. Big country-looking place. Green lawns, brick cottages lined up neat. Nothing like Yonkers. It wasn't a jail, but it damn sure wasn't home either. I remember standing there with Moms, heat cooking the sidewalk, watching other kids head home for summer while I got shipped off to this spot for rehabilitation. 10 years old, and already they were trying to fix me. What hit me first was the food. 3 meals on time, every day, plus a snack at night. After School Street and cold kitchens, that felt unreal. They had TV too, games, even a pool table. Almost like camp, if camp came with a file on your name. Still, eating steady gave me a kind of strength I didn't know I'd been missing. They ran it strict. Each week you got a tiny allowance, $3.50, if you did chores. Cleaning the bathrooms, sweeping the cafeteria, folding gray blankets. Earned money was the first taste of freedom I ever had, even if it barely bought a soda and a magazine. Christmas came with $25 extra, like a reward for surviving. For a broke kid, that was major. I tried to settle in, but the weight from home stayed on me. Moms had another baby, my sister Shayla, and I felt left out. Visits helped, but walking back to Andrus after seeing family always cracked me. Even when she hugged me tight, I carried that emptiness straight through the gates. Fights came easy. I wasn't the type to back down, no matter if the kid was white, black, or whatever. That's how I linked with Anthony Butler, first real friend in that place. We'd ride out together, 2 shorties in a strange system. But I also caught beef, especially with Adam, this Chinese kid in my cottage. We'd argue non-stop, sometimes square up. One day we got creative instead of swinging. Lit a fire in the basement, blue flame running across the floor. Whole building smoked up. Staff blamed Adam, but I knew I'd had my hands in it too. That was the cycle. Moments of fun, then punishment heavy. Teachers called me Crazy Earl, said I was unmanageable. I stopped caring. I cursed them, flipped trays in the cafeteria, refused work details. The more they tried to box me in, the more I pushed back. But Andres stamped me, taught me what it felt like to live with rules, clocks, structure, even if I hated it. Taught me how fast anger can get you labeled. And it showed me something else. That no matter where they put me, no matter what system claimed me, I was still me. Hungry, loud, stubborn, barking. 3 meals a day and a snack couldn't change that. Chapter 7. Crazy Earl tries it on. The 18 months I spent at Andres stamped me with a rep. By the time I came back to Yonkers, everybody expected me to be wild. And I made sure I didn't disappoint. Buzzy, my cousin, hyped it up too, telling people I'd fight anybody, choke somebody out, no fear. So when I hit the block again, I leaned into that energy. I had to. I practiced with my boys, putting each other in headlocks, sleeper holds, testing how far we could go. To me, it wasn't just games. It was training. If the world was going to throw me in cages, I figured I might as well build my bark and my bite early. One day I dared some kid to sneak up on this woman and snatch her pocketbook. He froze, but I didn't. Took it myself, just to prove I'd do what I said. I wasn't thinking about charges, about cops, about nothing. Just proving I wasn't soft. We ducked off to count the money, and I couldn't believe it. Over $150 sitting in my hands. I gave the kid 10 back, but the rest was mine. A dumb hustle, but in my head, it felt like power. That's when me and my cousins came up with the buzzy surprise. We'd run up on somebody, yell the phrase, and then strip whatever they had in their pockets. Shoes, dollars, candy, it didn't matter. We thought it was funny, but it was survival too. At that age, fear looked like respect, and respect was the only currency in the hood. But sometimes lines blurred. One of my uncles pulled me aside, said, "You keep running wild, Earl. You gonna end up in Valhalla jail." I didn't believe him. Thought I was untouchable. Still, every trip down Alexander Street, past the county lockup, reminded me what was waiting if I slipped. At home, Moms tried to discipline me the old way, locking me in my room, grounding me for weeks. Only problem was, I'd already learned how to live with walls. Solitude didn't scare me anymore. If anything, it gave me time to plot. I'd flip through old books, memorize answers, sharpen my schemes. But the longer I was locked down, the madder I got. Sometimes I'd picture snapping and going at her, like all that pain had to hit back somewhere. I started drinking young. My Aunt Vern threw wild parties, vodka, smoke, grown folks everywhere. I snuck sips until the room spun, until I felt bold enough to curse out my mom to her face. First time I said "fuck you" to her, the words tasted like fire. But I didn't regret it. The anger had been sitting in me too long. Still, I didn't hate her. That was the hardest part to explain. I loved my mother, but I hated how she treated me. Hated how her men swung on me, how her words cut deeper than belts. Some nights I imagined pushing her out the window just to make the pain stop. Then dreamed of saving her last minute, so I wouldn't lose her. That's how twisted it was inside me. Love and rage battling like dogs on chains. By the early 80s, Pops was gone, off to Philly with a new woman. He had kids there, new family, new life. Meanwhile, I stayed in Yonkers, carrying his name but none of his presence. I used to wonder if I'd be different if he'd been around, if I'd have drawn instead of fought, painted instead of cursed. But wondering don't change nothing. So I played the role the world gave me. Crazy Earl. The kid you didn't test, the one who'd swing first, curse loudest, and never bow down. And if that's what they wanted, that's exactly what I gave them. Chapter 8. The Dog. When Moms and me kept clashing, I turned more and more to the streets. Didn't matter if I had no cash, no food, no roof. At least I was in control. Some nights I'd crash outside the Salvation Army in Getty Square. Other times I'd duck into clothing bins just to stay warm. I knew Moms was looking for me, but pride had me hiding, proving I could survive on my own, even if it was only for a few days. That's when I saw him. This gray mutt with dark streaks. He looked beat up, ribs showing, but still had that spark in his eyes. I tried to walk toward him slow, talking like he was a person. At first he bolted, but then he came back. Something in me clicked right then. For the first time, I felt like I found somebody who understood me without words. I started bringing him scraps, kept him close, even though the building didn't allow pets. Moms was furious. "You better get rid of that dog before I get home, Earl." But I couldn't. I'd sneak him in, hide him under my bed, make him bowls of water. My uncle would cover for me sometimes. "Yeah, I know about the dog, but he ain't got nowhere else to go." The roof of School Street became my safe zone. 11 years old, climbing 2 flights up, laying down a blanket and pillow, with that dog curled at my side. Nights were quiet there. Sky open, no belt swinging, no words cutting. Just me, him, and the stars. That roof became my first real peace. I realized dogs didn't lie. A dog don't fake love, don't pretend. He might bite if you treat him foul, but if you feed him, walk with him, show him loyalty, he's yours forever. I didn't trust humans, but I trusted him. With him, I wasn't the problem kid, wasn't the crazy one. I was just Earl, a boy with his dog. And he gave me something I didn't know I needed: respect. Cats in the neighborhood would clown, then see me with the dog and back off. That bond made me feel stronger, like I finally had backup. In my head, he wasn't just a pet. He was family. That dog changed everything. He made the nights on cold rooftops feel less lonely, made the fights at home sting a little less. He showed me love didn't always come from people. It could come on 4 legs with sharp teeth and loyal eyes. From that point on, whenever you heard me bark, know it wasn't just sound. It was my way of keeping that spirit alive. The dog gave me my first true lesson. Trust the ones who stand beside you when you got nothing. Chapter 9. What's my name? Moms told me we was just going to look around. Next thing I knew, I was standing in front of Children's Village School for Boys, rocking this corny orange outfit she picked. Yellow button-up, black shoes. Looked like a damn clown. Already felt out of place before I even walked in. We hit the dining hall, kids eating, social workers watching. One dude, Charles White, shook my hand like I was some project. Miss Santos, one of the staff, looked right through me. Serious, no fake smiles. Place felt cold, not like a home, but like they was checking boxes on me. Lunch ended, and Moms bounced without warning. "You staying?" she said, like she was leaving me at daycare. But I wasn't no little boy. She didn't even pack my clothes. Just dipped. Left me in that orange clown suit. Felt like betrayal straight to the chest. The first month, they didn't let me go home. No visits, just phone calls where I couldn't even hear my people right. Rules everywhere. No leaving cottages, no sneaking out, no freedom. I was pissed. But Miss Santos held her ground. She told me, "If I let you break small rules, you'll break bigger ones later." She treated me rough, but fair. Children's Village had structure. School every morning, chores, sports. I learned to run for real there, not just running from cops or home. Miles at a time, sneakers eating pavement. For once, discipline felt like release, like I could burn my anger into the track. Kids tested me daily. "What's wrong with you, Earl?" "You soft?" I snapped quick. "Leave me the fuck alone." That was my shield. They ain't know the hurt, the anger, the confusion inside. Better they see me crazy than weak. But slowly, I found a rhythm. Teachers noticed I was sharp when I cared. Reading, writing, history, I ate it up. I still fought, still cursed, still carried scars. But I started realizing knowledge was another kind of weapon. By the early 80s, hip-hop was bubbling in Yonkers. Cats with boomboxes blasted WBLS, KISS-FM. B-boys breaking, kids rhyming, battles popping off in the parks. I watched, hungry, soaking it all up. Knew I had to carve a lane. Couldn't just be Crazy Earl forever. That's when I picked a name, DMX. It came from a drum machine, but it fit. Strong, sharp, sounded like something you couldn't ignore. From that point, I wasn't just another lost kid in the system. I was building the voice that would one day shake the world. Chapter 10. In the Game. By the time I hit 14, life was already pushing me to grow up faster than I wanted. Out there on School Street, you either learned quick or got played. The block didn't give no breaks. It didn't matter if you were still a kid. The minute you stepped outside, you had to carry yourself like a man. Cats my age were already hustling, hanging out late, flexing like they had the world figured out. Me? I was caught between wanting to stay a kid and knowing I had to earn my respect. That's when the streets started whispering to me, saying, "Yo, Earl, it's time to get in the game." It wasn't about being the toughest. It was about surviving. If you ain't hold your ground, you'd get walked over. So I studied the older dudes, how they moved, how they talked. They knew how to flip any situation, how to turn nothing into something. I wanted that. I remember nights just walking around the block, feeling the energy in the air. The sound of dice hitting the concrete, boom boxes blasting from windows, arguments breaking out, then laughing the next second. It was wild, but it was home. And I started realizing this chaos was my classroom. I was small, but my mind was sharp. I learned how to talk fast, how to move slick, how to read people before they even opened their mouth. That was survival. One wrong step, and you could lose respect forever. And once that was gone, you'd never get it back. Some nights, older heads would test me. "Yo, Lil Earl, what you about? You ridin' or you hidin'?" I didn't always have the right answer, but I learned to stand tall even when I was shook inside. Fear was natural, but letting people see it? That wasn't an option. The game wasn't just about money. It was about identity. Every move you made out there was a statement. What you wore, how you walked, the way you looked somebody in the eye. I couldn't afford new kicks, but I kept mine clean. If I couldn't flex with money, I flexed with attitude. At 14, that was my grind, figuring out how to turn pain into armor. I didn't have no plan yet, but I knew one thing. I wasn't going to let the world break me down. If I was going to fall, I'd fall fighting. That was the beginning. Not of the fame, not of the music yet, but of Earl Simmons stepping into the world as more than just another kid from Yonkers. That was me taking my first steps in the game. Chapter 11, 1985, was the year everything started to shift. I had just been released from Children's Village after damn near 18 months locked in. Before I got out, I played the game, showed the staff I could follow rules, acted like I was ready. But deep down, I knew. I wasn't done wildin'. I wasn't built for a straight line. The minute I touched the streets again, I felt free. 14 years old, skinny but full of energy. And the first thing I did wasn't school, wasn't family. It was finding a dog. That's how I ended up with Blackie. I spotted him in an old junkyard, barking like he was ready to tear through the fence. Big, scrappy, rough-looking. Any other kid would have kept walking. But me? I saw something in him. I crouched low, hand through the wire, speaking soft while he growled. He barked and barked, then slowly calmed. In that moment, I knew. This dog was mine. Blackie wasn't just a pet. He became my soldier, my shadow, my brother. I fed him when my moms told me not to. Took him with me everywhere, even though she complained. "Earl, no animals in this damn house," she'd yell. But I didn't care. Blackie was the kind of loyalty I had been missing all my life. No questions, no judgment, just ride or die. When we walked the block, he was right by my side, chest out, ready for anything. Back in Yonkers, school was a jungle. Yonkers High had a rep as one of the baddest schools around, and it lived up to it. Everybody was hustling, fighting, scheming. You had to be fast, tough, or smart to survive, and most days you had to be all three. At first, I thought maybe track would be my way out. I joined the team, ran sprints, jumped hurdles. I could smoke kids in races without breaking a sweat. But the coaches didn't see me. They only cared about the golden boys, the ones who already had money or family backing them. For me, there was no love there. So I turned back to the streets. That's where I found my first real rush, my first robbery. 14 years old, no fear, just adrenaline and a voice in my head saying, "You either do this or you're nobody." I still remember that day, walking through Getty Square, seeing women with thick purses from their government checks. My heart raced, my palms sweaty, but I pushed through. And when it was done, when I had that money in my hand, I felt untouchable. The very first thing I bought was gear for Blackie. A leather collar, a harness. Then some fresh Timbs, Levi's, a bomber jacket. If I was going to play the part, I had to look the part. I wanted the block to see me as more than just another broke kid. But the thing with hustling, once you taste it, it's hard to stop. School became less and less important. I stopped showing up, stopped caring. Instead, I was chasing that rush, the speed, the power, the feeling that I finally had control over something in my life. People started to notice too. I wasn't just Earl Simmons anymore. On the streets, I was becoming somebody to watch out for. Still, deep inside, I was just a 14-year-old kid trying to figure out life, carrying way more weight than I should have. And even though I walked around like I had it all figured out, part of me knew there was no going back from here. 1985 wasn't just a year. It was the point of no return. Chapter 12. Turn out the lights. 1985 felt like my year, like the world finally spun in my favor. I was 16, running wild in Yonkers, stacking memories like dice on a corner table. But the glow didn't last long. Life always had a way of snatching the light back, and when it did, it hit harder than any fist. It all started with Blackie. My dog wasn't just a pet. He was my shadow, my soldier. Wherever I went, he was right there, tail wagging, teeth ready if somebody got too close. One morning, Peanut started popping off in the hallway, barking at some dude, and Blackie wasn't having it. Next thing I know, he's chasing that man down like the block belonged to him. 10 minutes later, squad cars pull up. Sirens, flashing lights, the whole scene. I see them roll up and my chest gets tight. My first instinct? Protect Blackie. No hesitation. I wasn't about to let no cop put their hands on my dog like he ain't nothing. "Put the dog up against the fence," one of them shouted. Man, you could see it in Blackie's eyes. He wasn't backing down. He had that same wild fire I carried inside me. The cops circled him, batons out, like they was about to take on some monster. I felt my stomach flip. I wanted to pull the trigger on them, but all I could do was yell, "Don't hurt him! Don't kill my dog." They ain't hear me. They ain't care. They hooked Blackie to a fence and kept swinging on him. He barked, he pulled, he fought with every ounce of life in him. I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. I just screamed until my voice cracked. Then, 2 shots, loud, sharp. My world froze. Blackie dropped right there in front of me. My dog, my only real friend, laid out cold while the smoke still lingered from their guns. I swear something inside me snapped that day. Up until then, I thought I knew pain. Hungry nights, cold winters, beatdowns at home. But nothing cut like watching Blackie hit the ground. That was my brother. And in 1 second, they erased him. After that, nothing in me felt the same. 1986 came, but it wasn't brighter. My pockets were light, my stomach growled, and the streets whispered my name louder every night. Ready Ron was the one who pushed me toward the next thing, handing me powder, telling me it would numb the hunger, numb the memories. He didn't tell me it would eat at my soul. At first it felt like fuel, like I had wings. But soon enough, that high dragged me down deeper than the hunger ever did. I was running from Blackie's ghost, from the sound of those 2 gunshots, from the picture of his eyes dimming in the streetlight. But you can't outrun memories. They chase you, faster than cops, louder than sirens. That was the year I started slipping, piece by piece. Every hit, every run, every scheme. It was me trying to fill the hole left when Blackie's heart stopped beating. But no matter what I grabbed, no matter how far I ran, the lights stayed dim. Chapter 13. Betrayal. Ain't no way I was scared to tell my moms what I was doing. If I hit a lick, if I snatched a pocketbook, I'd walk right in the crib and say it straight. I was hungry, short on change, that's why I did it. She always told me the worst thing a man could do is lie, so I figured truth would save me. But the thing is, truth don't mean shit when you ain't got nothing in your stomach. By that time, they had me locked in industry. Juvenile spot, middle of nowhere, upstate New York. Cold as hell, fences high, guards watching every move. The type of place that tried to break you down, remind you wasn't nothing. I met Bobby there, skinny kid with a wild look in his eyes. We clicked, 'cause he was reckless like me. Always scheming, always ready to dip. One night we made a pact. Yo, we break out, we stick together. That was the code. Brothers till the end. It didn't matter that snow was knee-high or that cops had rifles on the towers. We ain't care. We just knew we wasn't built to rot behind them gates. So one night we hit the wire. Coldest night of the year. Wind slicing through our hoodies, ground frozen like steel. Bobby pushing me on, whispering, "Come on, Earl, don't slow down." We ran till our lungs burned, till our feet was numb. We cut through fields, ducked fences, slid across backyards where dogs barked loud enough to wake the block. We ain't care. Every step felt like freedom. We crashed in some basement Bobby swore was his people's. I ain't even ask. I was just glad to be out that hellhole. But next morning, I wake up. Bobby gone. Just gone. No food, no plan, nothing. Left me there cold, broke, stranded. That's betrayal. That's when I knew the streets don't raise brothers. It raised survivors. I dragged myself through town, stomach screaming, head empty. Ended up knocking on some lady's door begging for a plate. Next thing I know, police cruisers swerving up, lights flashing. Somebody must have called. They put me in cuffs like I was some grown man. 16, shaking in the back seat, hearing them say, "This one's headed back to industry." But it wasn't industry waiting. It was worse. Grandma opened her door, eyes heavy with tears, cops right behind me. She looked at me, then at them, and said soft, "He's my grandson." He ain't mean no harm. They ain't listen. They clicked the cuffs tighter. Back inside, I thought about Bobby, about how quick a so-called brother can leave you hanging. That's when I learned. Trust don't come easy. You can't lean on nobody out here. You stand tall on your own too, or you fall. Chapter 14. DMX, The Great is Born. McCormick wasn't no playground. It was cold steel, gates, guards with shotguns, and a schedule designed to break you. If industry was a cage, McCormick was the jungle. Every move you made was watched. Every mistake could cost you. But I learned quick. Pain wasn't new to me. Bars couldn't scare me. Locked up, I had too much time to think. Faces haunted me. Bonita, my sister Shayla, my uncles, my pops, who never really raised me. Even Reddy Ron and that first dog Blackie. Every memory sat heavy in my chest. But the one thing I couldn't shake was music. Rhymes started bubbling inside me like they'd been waiting for the right moment. See, Reddy Ron had always been the star. He had the attention, the girls, the shine. I was the kid in the shadows, beatboxing to keep the crowd hyped. But somewhere in McCormick, I realized, why should I always be background? Why should I let somebody else shine while my words rot in silence? I picked up a pen and started scribbling. Letters to Collie, to the homies, but mostly to myself. I wrote bars like they was confessions, like survival notes scratched into a wall. Every line was a release. I spit them later to anyone who would listen. And for the first time, Katz wasn't laughing. They nodded. They felt me. By the time I walked out of McCormick in '88, I wasn't just Earl anymore. I was DMX, Dark Man X, the beatbox enforcer. The kid who grew up fighting for food, dodging fists, and running the streets now had a weapon louder than pain. My voice. That was the real birth. Not the cell, not the beatdowns, but the moment I claimed my name. DMX was alive, and there was no turning back. Chapter 15. I want to do that. The Nepperhan Community Center was the kind of spot you couldn't ignore if you grew up in Yonkers. It sat right down the street from my grandmother's place on Warburton. And from the outside, it didn't look like much. But inside, that building was a whole different world. For kids like me, who had too much time on the streets and not enough places to be, the center was like a second home. They had everything. Ball courts, a boxing ring, even a little library. But what really pulled me in was the energy. Kids from every block in Yonkers came through those doors. Some were trying to stay out of trouble. Some were looking for it. But all of us were looking for a way to pass the time. And the center gave us that. For free. For me, Nepperhan became more than a hangout. It was where I could test myself. Whether it was climbing on rooftops, drawing graffiti on scraps of paper, or just mouthing off to counselors, I was always looking for a way to stand out. Mrs. Gaines, the head counselor, used to shake her head every time I came storming through like a tornado. She'd threaten to kick me out, but I always came back the next day. Deep down, she knew I belonged there. One afternoon, she told me about a contest coming up, an African American Heritage Day at Trevor Park, where kids would get up on stage and spit rhymes. At first, I brushed it off. I didn't think I had what it took to stand in front of a crowd like that. But then I saw the flyer for Crush Groove, the movie with Run DMC, LL Cool J, and Curtis Blow. Watching that film lit a fire in me. Seeing dudes from the street make it big, rocking crowds and living off their rhymes, I thought, damn, I want that. I want to do that. So I started writing. At first it was just little verses, dumb lines I'd scribble on scraps of paper, but soon I couldn't stop. Every thought in my head came out as a rhyme. I was living and breathing rap before I even realized it. Collie and Buzzy were my first audience, and they'd sit around while I spit out whatever I came up with. Half the time they laughed at me, but it didn't matter. I was finding my voice. The day of the contest, Mrs. Gaines set up a PA system outside the center. Plastic chairs lined up, kids waiting to hear who had the guts to get on the mic. Most of them were younger than me, but I was ready. I stepped up, heart pounding, and let it fly. The crowd wasn't big, but it was real. And when I finished, they clapped. They actually clapped. For a kid like me who barely got respect anywhere, that sound meant everything. From that day forward, I wasn't just Earl anymore. I was DMX, the Great. The center became my stage, my proving ground. Whenever I had a new rhyme, I'd bring it there, spit it in front of whoever would listen. Some days it was only a few kids hanging around. Other days it felt like the whole block was watching. But no matter what, it gave me purpose. The same place where I used to kill time now became the place where I built my dream. And every time I stepped on that makeshift stage, every time I grabbed that mic, I felt it stronger. I want to do this. I'm gonna do this. Chapter 16. Stolen Novas. Yo, by the time I hit my teens, Moms finally let me crash at Grandma's crib. Wasn't much, but it beat the system. Collie and Buzzy pulled up there every day after school, and me? I'd either be slumped in bed or freestyling bars at the kitchen table like it was my French exam. After McCormick, school was done for me. Yonkers High? Shut that down quick. Moms tried to sign me up at Gordon, but them dudes there weren't trying to see me. Wasn't welcome anywhere. That's why I stayed running wild. My boy Jose put me on game. First crime I ever did that hit different was stealing whips. That thrill? Crazy. Robbing people was personal, but jacking a car, that was just work. Needed wheels? Boom! Dent puller and a screwdriver, and you good. Favorite rides? Toyota Corollas, Camrys, Maximas. If it was heavy enough, I'd go for Lexuses or Volvos. But what I really wanted? A Chevy Nova. Just like in that Slick Rick track, Mona Lisa. Wanted to drop that line. Stolen Nova, DMX style. Collie and Buzzy got cold with it too. We'd cruise the block, push the whip a few streets back, wait till heat cooled off, then ride out again. Troop to White Plains, the Bronx, wherever. Rinse and repeat. One day I picked up Buzzy in this fly blue Honda I jacked. Man, his face lit up like Christmas morning. pulled up to his school and the whole hood froze like, "Yo, ain't that Earl?" Word got around fast. Same day, I'm whipping it down the block and this chick shouts, "Yo, my mom's friend just got her car jacked." I dipped out real quick. Same car, same description, same Earl. But I couldn't stop. Stealing cars? That became the high. Wasn't even for the ride anymore. It was the rush. Started teaching other kids on the block. Had to teach this fool Mel a lesson once. Punched him dead in the mouth for stealing from me. Dude took a whip I had just jacked. Disrespectful. Now I'm in this Trans Am GT, cruising late night. Cops pull up behind me. They ain't even checking, just knew that wasn't my car. Sirens, flashing lights. I ain't stop. Whipped that thing through South Bronx like a video game. Slammed the brakes by Building 7, jumped out, dipped into the shadows. Cops swerving all over, but I was ghost. Hid with some dudes on the stoop. They knew the vibes. He ain't running, man. He chillin'. But they was wrong. I dashed out again. Saw this new Hyundai and thought I was slick. Problem is, I ain't know it was automatic. Slammed it into drive in front of someone's crib. That was heat I didn't need. Cops closing in. Screech, stop, screech, stop. Yo, I ain't know what I was doing. That wheel felt cursed. Should have been a sign. 2 days later, totaled that Hyundai. Later, scooped this young cat from School Street. Showed him how to ride. Told him, "You gotta keep it chill, keep the shine low." But wouldn't you know? That's the same day police rolled up heavy. High-speed chase, tires squealing. Death in the air, I can taste it through the beat. My man's going fast. I don't think he gonna last. And if he don't, I'ma hit his wife with half. I'm riding through Yonkers, brakes burnt out, corners wild. Cops behind me. I'm ducking, dodging, praying my side door opens. Bam! Flew out the window, rolled hard. Whip crashed bad. Now I'm limping through the aqueduct, darkest shortcut in the hood. That path was deep, like the back of your hand if you blindfolded. Moved like a ghost. Some nights? Girls never came back from there. Finally made it through. Aunt Renee's backyard. Safe. Barely. My boy driving? Cracked 3 ribs, hit a damn pole. Chest still swollen. Lesson? Poles don't move. And just when I thought it was over. Saw something in the grass. Something wrong. A deer, maybe? Nah. That was a dog. Mangled. Crushed. Looked like it got run over and spit out. I froze. Ain't never seen nothing like it. Yo, what is that? Security rushing over, saying, "Yo, that's a guard dog from the lab." Turns out, it ain't just cars being stolen. Secrets were out here too. Chapter 17. A weekend in the Hamptons. Man, out of all the stolen whips I pushed in Yonkers, it's wild that the first time I actually got caught was all the way out in Long Island. Me and my boy from the village had just snatched this clean Toyota Celsior, luxury edition, cruising around like kings. Streets was quiet, so we dipped down to the Hamptons, not even for a mission. Just bored, trying to see what's out there. Dude said his fam had a crib out there, told me we could crash and maybe hit up a party. Bet. Sounded smooth. But we ain't even leave New York till 3 a.m., so by the time we got to the East End, it was dead out. No girls, no vibe, just rich people sleeping in them big-ass beach houses. So we pulled up, parked on the edge of some fancy block, cracked a beer like, I guess this is it. I didn't realize how different the energy was. See, back home, you just another black dude on the corner. In the Hamptons, 2 young black teens in a new car stick out like blood on white carpet. We didn't belong, and they knew it before we did. I dipped into a store to grab beer, and I could already feel eyes on me. Clerk acting funny. White folks whispering. I'm like, chill, man, I'm just here to cop a six-pack. But I knew what it was. They was clocking me from the jump. By the time I got to the register, the dude already on some fake tough guy mode. Asked me about some beer I ain't even touch. I was like, yo, I don't even know what you talking about. Then it got real. Cops pulled up outside before I even walked out the store. They told me to come with them, talking that we just want to talk bullshit. I knew better. They ran me through it. Fingerprints, questions, threats. Tell us where you got the car from. I played dumb. I mean, what could I say? That ain't my whip? Please. Next thing I know, I'm sitting in the precinct, hands cuffed behind my back, some old white dude pointing at me like, yup, that's him. I wanted to scream, but I just sat there, quiet. I was on probation, already on thin ice. Couldn't risk no slip-up. My whole life was hanging by a thread. And the dude I was with? Man, he was a minor. But instead of holding it down, he sold me out. His pops showed up at the station wearing a badge. Yeah, this fool was the sheriff's grandson. I was tight. He turned on me quick, like we never kicked it. Boom. I was booked. Official. DMX, the Fallin. They sent me to Yafank, out in Suffolk County. Place was grimy. Not juvenile, not kiddie time. This was big boy jail. Max security. That ain't no TV in your cell type lockdown. Concrete beds, loud-ass COs barking all day. Crackers trying to flex, trying to punk you for no reason. First few days, I stuck with the commissary game. Traded smokes for candy, candy for favors. Linked with some cats who already knew what's what. Shook hands, kept it solid. But jail got layers. There's wolves in there, and there's sheep. Some cats act tough 'cause they got nothing left. Others real quiet but deadly. I kept my head low but stayed ready. Funny thing is, music kept me sane. While the block was wildin', I was writing. Bars on bars, pages full of pain, rage, dreams. I started battling in the yard, going off the top, ripping cats apart with freestyle heat. DMX was coming alive behind them bars. One day, COS rushed the pod, shook the whole place down. Found nothing, but still locked a few of us up just 'cause. Me, Paz, and Rhonda got stripped and searched like animals. After that, they moved us to a smaller block. 3 cats in a room meant for 2. Tight, hot, barely breathable. But I kept writing, verse after verse. Flow got sharper, rhymes got deeper. I found my voice in that cell. I ain't had beats or mics, but my words were weapons. I wrote like my life depended on it, 'cause in a way, it did. I knew I had to be ready. Once I got out, there wasn't no time for playing. I was gonna take that fire, that hunger, and spit it till the world listened. Chapter 18. Wanna battle? Soon as I touched down from Suffolk County, I had 2 things on my list. 1, find somebody to help me get these rhymes on tape. 2, track down Dre. Dre was gone, but them rhymes? I was on it. First day home, I'm rolling with Collie. We spot this dude sitting in a car, chilling on Glenwood Avenue. As soon as he turned to look, boom, I rocked him in his face. No hesitation. Dre never saw it coming. What's up now, huh? Juice bottle flew out his hands, smashed on the sidewalk. I ain't stopped there. He tried circling the whip to get away, but I chased him down like 10 times. I wasn't letting it slide. Collie just laughed. You wild dog. You gonna take this whole block over? I kept walking. We hit the next corner and saw Dre again, ducked behind trees. I turn around, and now 5 dudes pop up. Bottles in hand, posted like gorillas ready for war. I ain't back down. They surrounded me, but I ain't flinch. One cop said to the other, "They over there." And boom, sirens came. Later I found out it wasn't even about Dre. They thought I was messing with some OG's shorty. But I knew who snitched. It was Kenny, a dude from around the way. Always had that slick mouth. "You snitched on me, Kenny?" "Nah, man." "What's up, though?" "You turned me in, right to my face." That was it. I had a small crew locked up with me. Collie, Buzzy, my Uncle Buckeye. Yeah, we was deep. One time I had to jack 6 knives and bats just to make sure we was good. Was supposed to be the one getting jumped, but I flipped it. Left the whole block shook. Back on the block, I was ready to battle. I had a mic, a radio with 2 decks, and a voice full of venom. I'd record my verses, spit 'em raw, then double it up on tapes and flood the streets. Old Billy Ocean DJ gave me a beat, and that was it. I had my first hood classic. Selling tapes made sense. I'd walk through Warburton, Ravine, School Street, spittin', sellin', buildin' my name. I'd battle any crew hanging outside, didn't matter who. Some laughed till they heard what I could do. I ain't care about being polite in battles either. This wasn't friendly. This was war. If I embarrassed you, good. That was the point. You, your moms, your girl, no one's safe. I kept it personal, real personal. The more I battled, the more I grew. And once I linked with MCs who could really go toe-to-toe, man, it was over. I was destroying dudes. Some couldn't handle it. They'd laugh it off. But deep down, I saw it in their eyes. Pain. Sometimes I'd win a battle and hand them my tape right after. "Here, learn something." One dude, Kaysen, heard me one day, and that changed the game. He was deep into vinyl, had beats on beats. I stepped in his crib, records all over the floor, tapes everywhere. He threw on this Billy Squier breakbeat and said, "Let's go." Man, I bodied that beat. "You, X, man." "That's it," he said. "That's flow." We dropped our first joint, Spellbound. That shit blew up. Then came Back It Down, then Unstoppable Force. Whole Yonkers was talking. I had my name out. And my pen? Still moving like fire. Battlin' turned into shows. One night I hit the Palace with Jack from New Row. He was impressed. Said he had people to show it to. Gave him my tape, my contact. Told him, "Let's get it." Few weeks later, I'm getting calls. "You the dude from the Palace?" "Yeah, what's up?" And just like that, I was getting heard. Chapter 19. A bow-legged cutie man, Daphne was a dime. Thick thighs, smooth brown skin, short with a crazy walk. I met her out front of my grandma's crib. She had just moved into the block from Connecticut. She was 17. I was a real young dog still out here on my grind. But even then, I knew a good thing when I saw it. "Yo, how you doing?" She smiled, played with her hair. I knew I had her attention. Shorty had that little native vibe, like there was fire in her spirit. We started walking together, talking that young love talk. When we got to her stoop, I stayed a while, called her later. And from that point on, we was vibing. Next few weeks, man, we were like glue. I'd call her every day. We'd chill in her mom's whip, posted up with the seats back, music low. Sometimes I'd be driving with her riding shotgun, cheesing hard at all the lames on the block staring as we passed. I was proud, bruh. She was that girl. Daphne ain't from Yonkers, so everything felt new to her. But she rolled with me, even when I was moving through the hood like it was a war zone. She ain't never fold. And her mom's? Cool as hell. Smoked weed, always asked if I was hungry, watched movies with me on the couch. It was like having a real home for once. I ain't had a vibe like that before. Not just the body, though she had it, but the peace. The way she made me laugh, made me feel wanted. We'd talk about everything, and when I had to dip out and do time again, she wrote me, called me, checked in, never switched up. But life always playing games. I get locked again. Came back looking for her, and when I finally tracked her down, she moved to Stamford. Whole new city. I had to find a way to reach her. Yo, is this Miss County? Who's calling? It's Earl. I'm trying to find Daphne. She's still there? She wasn't. But I got the number. Hit her line right away. Yo, what's up? It's me. Earl. Earl? Damn, you back? Yeah, and I need to see you. She was happy. I was hype. My man Rick was gonna drive me to go see her, and when we linked up, bro, it was like I never left. We fell right back into it. The laughs, the hugs, the vibes. And best of all, she wanted to ride. But that Connecticut life ain't like Yonkers. Her neighborhood ain't poppin', and I ain't had no money. She tried to act cool, but I knew she felt it. Like, what kind of dude comes all the way out here with empty pockets? That hit deep. We dipped to the mall just to kill time. 9 hours pass. She still ain't got no whip from her mom's. I'm trying to stay positive. She gon' come through. But man, it was a long wait. Security even told us we had to go. And just like that, reality hit me. I ain't have no plan. I had no paper. I was just another broke dude trying to flex with a pretty girl out of town. Later that night, we run into some of her girls. Damn, that's DMX. He came all the way out here with no money? They clownin'. I laughed it off. But that cut deep. Real deep. That moment made me rethink everything. I'm coming out here expecting love, but I ain't got the basics covered. Even when you got game, if you broke, they look at you different. Especially when they don't know your struggle. So we walked. I ain't even argue. Just took her hand and said, let's go rob something. I ain't really mean it. But that's where my mind was at. Frustrated, embarrassed, wishing I could be the dude I knew I was inside. Back in Yonkers, I was still that guy with rhymes. Still had Jack working with me, still building tapes, trying to make music happen. But when it came to love, that moment with Daphne stuck with me. Not 'cause she did me dirty, but 'cause I wasn't ready. Real talk, I wasn't mad at her, I was mad at the world. Mad that respect and love don't always come with the grind. You could be real, loyal, talented, but if you broke, ain't nobody see it. Chapter 20. Talk of the town man. Back in Yonkers, the dude everybody was talking about wasn't me yet. It was this light-skinned cat named Bill Blass. Flashy as hell. Always dipped in the flyest fits, always moving like he got something to prove. Son of a hustler, so you know he had confidence like a pit bull off the leash. And chicks? He had 'em lined up like Jordan Retros at Foot Locker. Bill made his name throwing parties, running the scene downtown at this spot called Brown Eyes. He wasn't even on the radio like that, but in the streets? In the streets, he was damn near a legend. Yonkers ain't had a lot of that, so when someone made noise, people listened. Everyone knew Bill. If you ain't show that man respect, he'd let it be known, loud. Now here's where it got personal. Blass was D-Mac's cousin, and ever since me and Mac battled, Blass had his antenna up, heard the tapes, saw the vibe, and just couldn't resist. But Blass wasn't no street dog. Nah, he was the cat barking through the gate, talking slick, writing joints like jumpin' MCs just to get attention. He even talked about bringing his boys to my grandmother's crib, like this was beef. So I'm chillin' on the block, and Collie and a few chicks are there, just vibin'. And here comes word that Blast's been poppin' off at the mouth again, talking reckless. And I'm like, bet. Let's line it up. We set it for the gym at School 12. Yeah, a whole gym. Flyers went up. Cats from Warburton, Ravine, School Street, everybody came out. I ain't rollin' deep. I told my crew, I got this solo. Just me, my black hoodie, black jeans, butter Tims, and a chip on my shoulder. Inside, it's packed wall to wall. The bleachers, the floor, the corners. Even the damn windows had heads watching. DJ's booth in the center, mics ready. I walked right up to Bill. He was already on stage, in a red and black outfit, looking like he just walked out of an album cover. He tried to talk tough, but I ain't give a fuck. I snatched that mic like it owed me money, and I went in. Started with my signature. I'm the dopest of the dope, the unstoppable preacher of rap, the original, the author of Spellbound, the motherfucking pimp, DMX the Great. And I'm not to be fucked with, 'cause I'm deadly with a motherfucking mic. Crowd started wildin'. Then I got real disrespectful, got personal. My bars were like knuckle dusters. Pink and black lip brick down butt bitch. When I watch her butt switch, it makes my nuts itch. So I fuck her. Look, every time I look her, in her motherfucking face, it makes me mad I ever took her. Cats went ballistic. The whole gym sounded like a riot. School Street schemin', Riverdale's rollin', cottages coolin', no brews hurtin'. And if you mess around with Warburton, you bound to get smoked. By the time I dropped the mic, Bill looked like he seen a ghost. He came with flash, but I came with fire. And everybody knew it. Ain't no debate. They were saying it loud. Yo, DMX just murdered him. On the walk back, everybody on the block was like, DMX killed Bill Blass. Word traveled fast. I went from local hype to talk of the town. Later that night, I hit a party. Blass tried to talk peace on the mic. Said we should squash it. But I wasn't hearing it. I wasn't trying to be friends. That night proved who was king of Yonkers, and I wasn't letting go of that crown. Chapter 21. Dog love. After grinding with Jack for a couple months, he hit me up like, Yo X, move into my spot in New Rochelle. Said it'd keep me close to the studio, keep me out of trouble, and he wasn't even gonna charge me rent. I ain't even hesitate. Now if you from Yonkers, you know New Rochelle ain't just around the block. It's a step up. Mostly black and Latino families, but it was quiet, calm, way different from them wild streets of YO. I had my own bedroom, bathroom, even a little porch area I flipped into a chill zone. Threw a stereo in there, had that old school TV with the box on top, and I was vibin'. I'd wake up, write bars, rhyme to myself, and just feel the peace. Something I ain't used to. Then one day, I'm chillin' outside, and this dude comes by acting crazy, screaming at this lady. Turns out she was chasing her little dog, and the dude was wildin' over nothing. Man, he looked dead serious too, like ready to throw down over some straight nonsense. He came at me talking reckless, like I had something to do with it. I wasn't trying to scrap, but he pushed me, literally. I slipped, hit my knees hard, and caught the wind of that punch swinging past my face. Dog, he almost cracked my head like a melon. I dipped out that lot fast as hell. That could have been it right there. But instead, I kept pushing. Now I was in New Row, making moves different. Started battling cats in the park, showing 'em I ain't just bark, I had real bite. Cats was talking like, Yo, X nice with it. Word started spreading. Then I met this dude Arthur at Jack's. He had a roommate named Tashera. I ain't know it yet, but that girl, she'd changed the whole game. One night, I saw her. Shorty had that North Face bubble, jeans, black hoodie, clean. I walked over like, "Yo, you always bumping my tape, right?" She hit me with, "You Earl?" That's when I knew. She'd been knowing about me. We started talking, slow at first. She wasn't feeling me heavy like that off rip, but something was there. It was different. I ain't feel this way about no other chick. Later on, I saw her again. We spoke more. She asked what I'd been up to. I kept it real. Next time we linked, she rolled with me to the mall. I ain't even tell her we was gonna hit a lick. When she realized it, she was heated. Mad I ain't say nothing. But I could tell. She wasn't about that life, even if she didn't dip on me right then. I kept running into her. We started vibing, but it was slow. Then one day, I jacked this Honda Accord, rolled to her spot, and hit her up like, "You wanna ride?" She said yes. That night, we just chilled. It wasn't even on no grimy stuff. Just us. I ain't wanna leave. April 29th, 1998. I remember that date like my name. That was one of the realest nights of my life. Tashera came through, made breakfast, and we just bugged out, talking all night. Looking through old pics, she asked if I'd ever want a daughter. Man, that question hit me deep. She told me about her life. How her mom's just bounced one day, just disappeared. That's why she ain't trust easy. But me? I showed up, I stayed. And slowly, she opened up too. I ain't ever felt that with nobody before. We weren't perfect. We fought, we laughed. But I trusted her. I respected her. And for the first time, I felt that same energy back. That wasn't no street love. That was dog love. Chapter 22. You're Not Going to Boo Me. By early '90, Jack was already managing some acts out in Yonkers and New Rochelle. So when he threw one of his parties, he'd put me on the flyer as part of his House Party All-Stars. Thursdays were his night, always packed, always loud. He'd rent out Castle, over on 138th and Walton, where Bronx heads used to gather. They called it Sneaker Thursdays. No dress code, just bring heat. You had real names rolling through there. Biz Markie, Big Daddy Kane, Nice and Smooth, Special Ed. And guess who was opening for all of them? Me. A lot of folks doubted me. That didn't matter. I had bars, I had bite. I knew how to tear a stage down. So I told Jack, book whoever. I'll take their head off Bill Blass, ex-schoolie or not. I wasn't sweating it. Then came this one Thursday that flipped everything. The place was jammed. DJ battles were going down, folks taking turns scratching fire on the wheels. TQ was in the cut, just posted, and I kept waiting for my shot. Kassun, he ain't even want to spin for me that night. I guess he ain't want to be part of the smoke I was bringing. Still, I waited. Till midnight. Crowd restless, energy loud. Then they called me up. I got something to say, I told them. Y'all not gon' boo me like the rest. I got fire for real. I had already spotted the dude from Finesse and Andre the Giant up front, and I saw my moment. I ditched the usual approach, no safe rhymes, no warm-up bars. I went full assault. Battle mode. Target locked. They ain't know I was from Yonkers. That night, they learned. I spit lines they wasn't ready for, had 'em wildin'. Even the cats who ain't buy my tapes before, they was noddin' hard. Blass? Dude got caught in the storm. I mentioned his name in the rhyme. Crowd went nuts. I was out for blood, and they felt it. Then suddenly, DJ skips, beat cut, twice. Still, I kept going. Crowd rocked with me like I never left the beat. "Yo, DJ," I growled, "don't kill me now." "I'm just heating up," but I bounced back. Gave him more, and when it was over, I walked out with the crown. Best rapper, got the damn plaque. Even the NYMC folks showed me love. Lined up an interview for me with Unsigned Hype, the source. That's when heads started whispering, DMX the Great. No more question marks, no more side looks. That name hit the streets like thunder. D plus M plus X equals X Factor. DMX, greatness. Backstage, I told Jack, "Yo, I'm ready. Hold these for me." He took the notebooks I wrote in every day, rhymes on rhymes, from back when I ain't have nothing. That moment, that was me trusting somebody for real. "I do," I told him. Tashira. She never saw me like that before, not like this. But that day at Castle, I lit that whole damn stage on fire. Next gig, we hit Commerce High. Over 1,000 heads. I ain't just perform, I baptized that crowd. Poison and Pain had dancers going crazy. Once Upon a Time got 'em emotional. I gave every line like it was my last. Security had to walk me out like I was the damn president. People kept asking, "Who's DMX the Great?" Now they knew. Chapter 23. One Love. Boomer came into my life when he was just a pup. Brown pit, white streak across his face like a scar, eyes full of fire. Even as a baby, he ain't moved like no ordinary dog. He had presence, energy, swagger, just like me. We weren't just tight, we were locked in. Me and Boomer had that bond that went beyond words. Everything I was, he mirrored. Everything I feared, he faced. He wasn't just a dog, he was family. The most dangerous mutt on the block and the most loyal. That mix? Killer combo. His favorite spot was the top of the mailbox outside my grandma's crib. Blue boxes lined the block and Boomer would sit there, proud like a lion watching his kingdom. Cars would swerve just to avoid him. Folks stopped walking down that side of the street. You ain't never seen fear till you seen grown men freeze at the sight of a pit sittin' still like he owned the joint. "Yo, X, get your dog off that box. He's scaring people." "He's chillin'," I'd yell out the window, smirking. Boomer ain't move unless I told him to. That's how deep our connection ran. I'd take him to the store, and he'd wait on the mailbox till I came back. Same position, same energy, loyalty unmatched. But when it came to mischief, oh, Boomer was down. "All right, Boomer, let's go get into something." We'd hit Locust Hill, where alley cats ran the block. Big, wild cats, bigger than Boomer sometimes. But he ain't care. Boomer ain't back down from nothing. I'd let him loose, and he'd go full savage, chasing down strays, scrapping with anything that moved. One time he dragged a full raccoon out of some alley. Wouldn't let it go. This wasn't no play fight either. He grabbed it, locked in, and started swinging his head side to side like he was trying to snap its spine. That pit was built for it. Pure killer instinct. And once the raccoon slipped, Boomer dropped it like it was trash. Game over. Boomer stood tall. He didn't just fight. He studied. He learned. I'd crouch down, hidden behind a tree, and wait for the next animal to pop up. Boomer would follow suit. Always watching, always waiting. When it was go time, he never hesitated. I trained him different. Most dogs? They bark, they bite. Boomer? He calculated. I'd whisper the target, he'd lock in, wait for the sign, then strike. 20 minutes in the bushes meant 20 seconds of fury, but it was enough, every time. That dog had heart. I kept him sharp. Wouldn't let him get lazy. Once he hit grown weight, he'd throw down with anything. Fought dogs twice his size. Even went up against a mutt named Limo once. Some beast with a chain hanging from his neck like a trophy. Limo came in strong, swinging like a madman. But Boomer? He ain't flinch. Slipped that first bite and locked in right behind the neck. After a couple minutes, Limo started slowing down. Tired, gassed out. Boomer was still going. That's when I knew. Nobody could fuck with me and my dog. Chapter 24. Buried in paperwork. I tossed the dead cat Boomer murked into a tree, high enough so he couldn't reach it. Thought maybe it'd teach him to jump. While he was still going wild, Jack rolled up talking business like nothing happened. I got some producers for you to meet. Might have a deal too. All you gotta do is sign. I liked Jack, trusted him. He had hooked me up with real stuff before. Shows, beats, some bread. He felt more like big bro than a manager. So yeah, I listened. But suddenly, I was an artist, had to pay for my own studio time, my own gas, even my own damn meals. And while I was grinding every night, Jack was showing up at meetings, pushing my music, without me. I wasn't even there while they talked deals. I was either locked in the booth or riding buses to shows solo. One night I had to hit White Plains. I was flat broke but had a beat tape, some verses, and nothing else. I kept thinking, they respect real. They gotta hear me. But even when I spit flames, all they did was look me up and down. This voice too street. He don't look marketable. Can he wear something else? They ain't care about bars. They wanted image, numbers, a gimmick. Jack tried to pass me off like a product. Even told me to wear some goofy-ass outfit like this corny cat from up north. Nah, I told him, that ain't me. So now I'm broke, getting rejected by suits, and still rapping like my life depends on it. And they wonder why I'm angry. No one's trying to hear my side about it. They want me to be this product, polished and clean. I'm out here hungry, sleeping on couches, trying to get on, and they want to sell me a dream. I remember standing in front of them suits, thinking, this shit is fam? Nah, I don't trust none of y'all. Later I got so broke I had to pawn a chain. Jack kept asking about it at a party like I'd lost it. His boy tried to clown me. Yo, this your spot, right? Then turned his chest like he was big. So I swung, hard. Dropped him with one shot. I ain't care about nothing after that. There was no money, no safety net, just rage. After that night, I rolled into a house party solo, no invite, just energy. They tried to check me. Told me I couldn't just walk in. I told them to step back. One dude reached, so I reached back. Next thing I knew, fists flying, bodies on the floor, cops outside. They hauled me out while my grandma watched. Yo, Jack, I'm in Valhalla. What you doing there? I'm in jail. Chapter 25. Being locked up stopped feeling like punishment. It became normal. Like home, just darker. I ain't fight the environment no more. I was used to steel beds, used to moldy bread, used to the cold silence of that cell. I wasn't waiting on letters. I wasn't hoping for visitors. I just sat there, thinking maybe if I disappeared long enough, the world would forget I owed it anything. But X was different. X didn't beg for food. X didn't cry in the dark. X didn't fold. See, DMX was the artist. But X was the animal. When I tapped into that energy, that real hunger, I became unstoppable. Earl lived in fear. X lived like he had nothing to lose. Like death already walked with him, and he'd learned to make peace with it. Every word I wrote inside those walls came from X. It was like my pain found a voice, and that voice, had claws. I looked in the mirror and said it. Say my name 5 times. Turn out the lights. I took 9 lives. Don't get scared now. You started this. Watch it grow. I was never part of this. People in jail started whispering when I spit bars. Yo, X is battling on H block. That meant shut up and listen. One night I blacked out, lost myself in the words, kept going till the lights cut off. They knew what I was, a problem with a pen. That spellbound style I built, it was starting to spread. Other dudes started biting the flow, trying to catch that same fire. But they couldn't, 'cause they ain't lived what I lived. I battled everybody, ex-friends, OGs, even jail celebs. One dude thought he was untouchable 'cause he knew people on the outside. I left him quiet with one verse. You think you tough? My name rings out 'cause I choose the L. Ribs showing, bones cracking, but I'm still standing. Born loser. Still ain't asking for no handouts. I signed it, X stole it. That's what I did. I stole energy. I stole attention. I stole the mic like it owed me money. They used to say, yo, where you from? I'd just say, from pain. Even the COS knew I wasn't like the rest. 2 of them tried to front like they had connects on the outside, said they'd take me to a studio when I got out. I ain't believe it, but I nodded. One said he had 500 ready to drop. Friday came, and the money was real. Dude handed over cash, told me to show up in Mount Vernon. Jack laughed when I told him. There's no contract, I said. There never is, he smirked. I should have walked, but I was too hungry. Chain snatching was easy time. Studio promises were hard time, 'cause hope can kill you slow. That's when I knew. DMX would always be the name on the flyer. But X was the reason people showed up. Chapter 26, Waah Rolls By. They all said I wouldn't live to see 20. Boy, you ain't ever gonna make it to that old. So I looked him in the face and said, yeah? Fuck you. Tashera had her own spot in New Rochelle, but most nights I'd crash there with her and her homegirl Nicole. One night, I'm looking out the window, and this burgundy Z28 slides through the block. Dark tint, real low. Almost midnight. I couldn't place it, but something felt off. Streets got their own memory, and mine said, this ain't normal. Good hood dogs don't bark for no reason. That whip had too much silence with it. Next time it rolled up, I had a burner tucked in my sweats, and Boomer was already on alert. It was 3 a.m. Same dude in the trench coat hopped out. Yo, you DMX, Boomer growled. My hand slid toward my waist. Another dude jumped out the passenger seat. I was 2 seconds from letting off, until I recognized Tiny. School Street crew, always respected him. Yo, what's good, D? He said. Waah leaned forward and nodded. We been looking for you, dog, he said. Trying to start something. Music shit. I heard you the hottest rapper round here. I ain't get hyped easy. I'd heard it all before. But Tiny spoke calm, with them wide shoulders and that Harlem bass line in his voice. You trying to make some real money? He asked. My eyes locked in. I ain't blink. I nodded. Then ride with us, he said. You ain't got to sell nothing. Just get in the lab. They dropped a number. Told me they was real with it. Next morning, someone banging on Tashera's window. It's Waah. He said, come outside, X. We gotta talk. Told me straight. Look, I ain't here on no games. You love dogs? I love dogs. You love this music, I do too. Let's build. Waah and his brother Darren were Harlem made. Came up hustling hard. But now, they were switching lanes. Music hustle. Said we'd hit harder than crack ever did. We linked with dudes like Bishop and Skip up by 125th. They had a booth by the payphone, like some hood office. If you needed beats, tapes, or straight raw bars, you called 'em. Everybody on the street started whispering, "Yo, X got a new crew." Waah got X now. Shit about to blow. Waah kept things tight. "Don't wait," he told me. "Got a song? Need a beat? Come record now. I'm ready with the bread." That was all I needed. We ain't wait for no Monday. No studio fairy tales. That same damn day, Waah pulled up with 5 G's in a duffel and said, "Let's build something that's ours." That's when the name Rough Riders was born. Chapter 27, Born Loser. The deal was official now. Waah signed me, Jack was still managing me, and I had to follow their plan if I wanted to drop anything. They said I needed to make a single within 6 months. So first thing Waah had me do was learn how to vibe with a beat. They told me straight up, I had to stop writing rhymes in my head and actually spit to something real. But the producers they had? Man, I wasn't feeling it. Every time I pulled up to their spot, I had bars ready. But the beats they played? Weak. Wasn't what I needed. I didn't want to sound like Barry White's cousin. I needed that hard SHT. Then Waah introduced me to this cat named Dr. Seuss. Dude was working with Loud Records. Soon as I heard his beats, I knew it. That was it. I dropped 2 tracks off the rip. One was called Catchin' the Same Hell. The other one? Born Loser. That one hit different. That was me in a song. We pressed up 500 vinyls. Straight 2-sided fire. No other artists' beats, no features, just me. Then we hit the streets. Radio DJs, clubs, street corners. If you were moving through New York at that time, you heard Born Loser. People were calling WBLS and Kiss FM like, "Yo, play that new DMX joint." Red Alert, Dr. Dre, all of them had it in rotation. The buzz was building. Jack saw it too. He got in touch with a company down in Philly to press more vinyl. DJ Ran from Power 99 heard it and was like, "Bet. Let's get this out for real." Next thing I know, I'm in a meeting with Chris Schwartz from Rough House Records. That man was serious. He said, "We want to distribute the single. You've got it." But even as the business side started looking up, I was still thinking about my circle. The streets raised me, not these boardroom cats. I started seeing Waah in a new light. He was about ownership. Real moves. Jack? He was still hustling tapes out his trunk like this was 1989. I wrote it down just to make it plain. I want to break bread with the cats that I starve with. I want to hit the clubs with the dogs I rob with. When it's over, be like, these are the nucks that I cried with, the same ones that I ride with, die with. That's how I felt. Loyalty over everything. Waah was with it. Jack didn't say nothing, but I could tell he knew he was losing me. Later, I performed Born Loser live at Jack the Rapper Music Conference. Crowd went nuts. Even Waah was like, "You ready? Let's go all the way." Not long after, Waah and Darren broke it to Jack. "We're taking him." A few days later, I was sitting in a real label meeting at Rough House. Contract in front of me. New chapter about to start. Yeah, I was the born loser. But I was done losing. Chapter 28. Tests of Strength and Faith. It was 7:15 in the morning. Sky still dark over New Rochelle. I see Jack walking his dog. He hit me with, "Where you coming from, Naka?" I said, "Was hanging out." He was already mad. "Tashera gonna flip when she sees you." Jack glanced over at my homie, then back at me. Dude kept staring, confused. I was outside Jack's house waiting for him to come back so I could head out. Tashera asked why I didn't come to bed. When Jack came in, I gave her my answer. Don't want to do this anymore. That's when shit blew up. Her sisters, 6 of them, came through Jack's living room trying to stop me. Tashera screamed, "Get out the way!" Let me handle this. She threw herself at me, arms locked around my waist, trying to hold me back. But I kept walking. I was in that zone, that mental blackout. Then I heard Jack on the phone. "Yo, I don't know what the fuck is wrong with Earl. Some people just ain't built for the same kind of struggle. They think strength means muscles, but strength's deeper than that." One of the producers I was working with said, "X is not as strong as his brother." But I already knew. I wasn't trying to be strong the same way. I had to walk through hell just to learn how to keep moving. Waah once told me, "Look, man, you was in that dark place for a while, but you made it out." He paused a sec, then said, "I know it's gonna come again someday. You gonna feel like the wall's closing in again. But this time, you got tools. You ain't weak," and he was right. Even when life throws another punch, I know how to roll with it now. I ain't running, not from pain, not from fear. I'm built for it. But then came something I wasn't ready for. Tashera told me she was 3 months pregnant. It hit me like a truck. She said, "I would have told you sooner. I was just scared." And I was standing there like, what are we gonna do? I ain't have a plan. I wasn't even sure I had the right to ask. Then she said something that shut me down. "I can help you work through it." And in that moment, that she broke me. I just stood there, silent. She knew everything I was going through, and still, she stayed. She was real. Later that week, I flew out to Atlanta for the Jack the Rapper showcase. I performed Born Loser, and the crowd felt every word. I saw Waah backstage. He walked up to me and said, "You did it. You ready now?" And that was the last time I ever saw or spoke to Jack, my former manager. A few days later, Waah and Darren officially cut the contract. And then Rough House came through. I got offered a real record deal. The same dude who used to sleep in dirty hallways, who talked to stray dogs like they were family. That dude now had a shot at something real. Chapter 29. Before light, there is dark. It was just one track, one damn song. But that SHIT was real. Rough House was backed by Columbia Records, one of the biggest labels out there. I was officially in the game now. People were finally going to hear me spit. But to Shara, I still hadn't told her the truth. Couldn't lie to her no more. So I hit the payphone and said, "Meet me outside. I need to talk." She pulled up like, "You good, Earl? What's going on?" And I hit her with the real, "Tashera, I've been messing up." I wasn't ready before. But now I gotta deal with my own demons. Alone. She looked at me, confused, heartbroken. We could have done this together. Why now? What are we gonna do? I ain't have no answers. Then boom, nurses roll in. "Sir, you gotta come with us." She was already being walked away. I tried to follow, but they blocked me. Cop-looking nurses now. "We gotta ask you to leave the building." They didn't even let me hold my own son when he came out. They named him Xavier. Lil Man had a special energy, for real. I already knew folks was gonna call him Lil X, even though we ain't picked the name to copy mine. He was mine. That's all I knew. After that, I was back at Benita's crib, chilling with my son in my arms. Finally had that moment. Then buzz, doorbell rings. It's Waah. "Yo, Earl, we gotta go to the studio right now. They need Born Loser remastered tonight." I said, "Nah, man. I'm here with my son. Just got home. Let me breathe." Waah looked me dead in the face. Dog, this is business. You got time to chill later. Right now, you got a deadline. Let's go. And you know what? I knew he was right. 5 minutes later, I was gone. I didn't want to bounce. But sometimes chasing dreams means leaving the moment behind, even when the moment is holding your newborn son. Chapter 30, 0 for 2. So Rough House redropped Born Loser on a real 12-inch vinyl. They even got it on the WBLS countdown. But that was short-lived. Track ain't climbed the charts. Didn't hit radio heavy outside of Yonkers or New York. Label told me the joint ain't got the right hook or club bounce. Said the marketing push was weak. That's when it clicked. I put too much faith in Rough House. Too much in that one record. I should have gone harder. Done more on my end. Now Waah linked up with this young DJ from Queens, Irv Gotti. Dude had the vision, was hungry. He'd been knowing Waah, and Irv always liked my style. Raw, grimy, straight from the street. Irv heard Born Loser, catching the same hell, all that. But when he saw me live, saw me rhyme with that fire, he felt it. Told Waah, this kid's a beast. Let's do another record, so we hit the studio with some beats and a sampler. Dropped Niggaz Can't Touch Me Kid. I spit my soul out. But all we needed was the right cosign. So we pulled up on Ed Lover. Yeah, that Ed Lover. Legend from HOT 97. We handed him the vinyl. Waah said, "Yo, Ed, this is the next one. You gonna want to spin this." Ed was cool, but not excited. Yeah, I'll peep it later. Waah pressed. Why not just take it now? You going to a party anyway? But Ed dipped. Didn't take the joint. Then comes Wendy Williams, biggest radio voice in the game, walking out the station. Waah hands her the record. She don't even stop. Didn't even look at it. Just bounced. I stood there, watching her disappear with my joint in her hand. Or maybe not. 'Cause truth is, I don't even know if she kept it. Could have dropped it. At that moment, I knew. I was 0 for 2 in this rap game. 2 tracks deep, 2 chances blown. But I ain't fold. I took the L, held it tight, and used it to fuel the next one. Chapter 31, Slippin' Fallin'. So School Street, way more room than the projects. It was quiet up there, spaced out. 5-story joints, real space to move. You could look across the Hudson and see Jersey. That's if you wasn't too deep in some grime. We used to chill by the bench, doing what we do. Smoking blunts, cracking jokes, dealing with the bullshit. I was with Romore, vibing heavy. He was asking questions. Wanted to know what I was on. Music, moves, next steps. He had just grabbed a baby mom, trying to lock in for real. Suddenly I look up. 3 dudes walking toward us. All had their hands stuffed in their pockets. I caught that look in their eyes. Something off. One of them was from Slow Roms. I recognized him. But they wasn't walking like homies. I told Hip, "Yo, I'm out." Something ain't right. They called out, "Yo, Earl." "Nah, don't run, motherfucker." As soon as I heard "don't run," I was gone. Bolted down the block, zigzagged. They started letting off, 4 shots. One hit a parked car, one skipped off the curb. I dipped behind the building, jumped fences. I ain't get hit, but I knew what time it was. That was the second time God pulled me out the fire. But that life, all the stealing, the jucks, the grime, it caught up to me. People in Yonkers started giving me looks, even those who used to dap me up. Family ain't opened the door. My own mom didn't want to deal with me. Benita said, "You can't blame Mommy for your life, Earl." My sis told me, "You gonna die out there. Or rot," she was done. "I'll come to your funeral, not your crib." Then came this lil light. Drexel College booked me. I ain't even know where it was. All I knew was it came with a check. They flew me out, gave me a hotel. First thing I did? Hit the payphone, called my pops. "This Earl." "Earl who?" "Your son." Oh shit. That hit different. We talked, real quiet. I told him I was in Philly, doing shows. He said he'd meet me. Later that night, I had to rock a set with Das EFX. They ain't show love. Didn't want to hear me. But I spit anyway. Mic cutting out. No one cared. Then I started freestyling, off the top, talking my pain. And guess what? They stopped laughing. After the show, I met my pops in the lobby. Bro was wearing 4 different pairs of leg warmers. Like he didn't know who he was. Plaid pants, wild colors. Dreads looking dusty. But still, he was my father. He looked me in the face and said, "Damn, dog." That could have been me. That hit like a brick. I ain't even have words for him. I was mad, sad, confused, but also grateful. See, I was traded the chance to grow up with a father for a dream that might still save me. And tonight, I'm still holding on to that dream. That's why I hit these motherfucking streets tonight. Chapter 32. A Bark in the Dark. Back in Philly? That was quick. 3 days later, they had your boy back in Valhalla Correctional. I got hit with a year, plus 30 days of box time, solitary confinement. Block 3K. Cold, dark, no noise. That was home, for real, for almost a year. Ray Copeland came through, my mom's youngest brother, real one from Mount Vernon, used to kick it with my sister. He heard I was inside and came through the grapevine via Waah's girl Keshia. She told him I was locked up, and he didn't even blink. Pulled up, no warning, no schedule, just heart. Even though he wasn't assigned to my unit, he told the guards, "Let me see my nephew." And they let him. Ray wasn't preaching, he wasn't throwing shade. He just told me my family was scared for me. Said they didn't always know where I was, didn't hear from me for weeks at a time, and it was killing them. He didn't sugarcoat it either. "You gotta stop wildin', E. You got more in you." Solitary ain't no joke, but it gave me space to think, to breathe, to feel. I was away from the noise, no fights, no chasing paper, just me and my mind. And for once, I ain't run from it. At night, in that tiny-ass cell, I started praying. Not just talking, praying. "Lord, why is it that I go through so much pain?" All I saw was black. All I felt was rain. I was writing like a man possessed. Wrote my first prayer in that cell. Day after day, I started reaching out to something higher. Started scribbling down verses, prayers, thoughts. Some dark, some light, all real. I come to you hungry and tired. You give me food, let me sleep. I come to you weak, you give me strength, and that's deep. That was straight from the heart. My grandma always said, "The Lord is enough." Just talk to him, so I did. I said, would he talk back? Would he hear me? I ain't know. But I kept writing anyway. You call me a sheep and lead me to green pastures. You give me the word, and all I ask is that I interpret. I wasn't trying to be perfect. Just trying to make it through the dark without letting the devil win. Solitary gave me time to figure that out. That was the start of something deeper. Not just barking in the dark, but finally listening. Chapter 33. Home. A home ain't where you at, it's what you make it. Tashera ain't grow up in the projects like me. But once we had to move out of Benita's spot, we only had two real options, School Street or Mulford Gardens. We chose Mulford. Whole place was boxed in. Tight brown buildings all stacked up, way less wild than School Street, but still had that same energy. Rent was $314 a month for a 2-bedroom, and I said, bet. Moved in with Xavier, tried to make it feel like peace for once. Xavier, that little man, became my everything. My first son, my heart. I took him to the studio when he was just 3 weeks old. Rappers freestyling back and forth, and there's my baby laid up on my chest, eyes wide like he's soaking up all that life. When fools started rhyming crazy, Xavier would just yawn like, that's it? You right there, he already know what's up. Everywhere I went, I brought him. Sling strapped tight, bottle in my back pocket. Even little kids from the block was like, yo, when's Xavier coming back? He had that vibe. People just felt something around him. But fatherhood? That ain't come natural to me. I ain't know how to do that shit. Nobody taught me. So I did the only thing I could. I stayed close. I listened. I tried to be there. Started picking up paint from the hardware store, flexing a skill I picked up from my Uncle Pinky. Did murals, painted dark pieces. One was this baby in black with gray stripes across the crib. It was me speaking without words. That was my therapy. But even with all that effort, we was still broke. We tried everything. Cleaning jobs, dishwashing, you name it. I was stacking heavy work, breaking up stoves, hauling garbage. But Mulford ain't let me rest. Week after week, somebody got clapped out there. You could feel the danger on your skin. Joe, my little bro, came up from Philly, told me Pops wanted to meet. I ain't seen him in years, but I showed up. Xavier in my arms. We went to meet Grandma, showed her the baby. First great-grandkid. She cried, man. She always believed in me. No matter what the streets said, Grandma saw me. But time catches up. That summer she got sick. Hospital beds, wires, prayers. She still smiled through it. I brought her fruit. Purple grapes, mango. Whatever she wanted. She was the only one that truly knew Earl. Not just DMX. On September 21st, 1994, Mariella Hollaway passed away. That hurt different. I prayed that night, for real. Not no rap shit. I looked up and said, "O Lord, my God, on thee I put my trust. Let me not be ashamed, and deliver me." That pain, it carved something deep inside me. That's why my soul always sounded like struggle, 'cause that's what raised me. Chapter 34. Make a move, yo. Once Waah and Darren told me they got something set up down in Baltimore, I ain't even think twice. I needed that paper, and I was done being broke in the X. Told myself, I'ma make this move, see what it do. Me and B hopped in the whip Friday, cruising over the George Washington Bridge. I ain't even realize we was about to hit a whole different world till the skyline changed and them New York blocks faded out. Baltimore got this grime to it. I ain't know if it was the place I'd blow up, but something told me I had to stay. They had 2 spots for us, one on the west side where the real ones roamed, and another on the east, round North Avenue. I ain't the hustlin' type, not really. I ain't standing on corners like that. But they needed somebody to hold it down on the inside, so I said, cool. I'll play my lane. I'll write I kept it moving. Walking around, eyes wide open, studying the blocks, feeling the vibe. Wasn't like Yonkers. Folks there ain't know me, didn't owe me nothing. But they showed love when I spit. Always been that way. Real recognize real. Didn't take long to earn respect. Baltimore was raw, though. Rats big as cats running through alleys, crawling up walls like they owned the block. Place had a smell, like sweat, metal, and old food. Ain't no glamour, just struggle. But it made you work harder, made you write harder. Sometimes I'd post up by the harbor, just to watch the people. I'd freestyle out loud or mumble bars in my head. Gritty lines, painful truths. That's where I came up with verses that still live in my soul. But Baltimore ain't just about grind. It's survival. Them boys down there, sticky fingers, itchy triggers. You walk into the wrong corner, you might not walk out. But I moved careful, stayed alert, and it paid off. I'd go check on Tashera and Xavier every couple of weeks. Bought Lil Man some kicks, some toys, did what I could as a father. Money was tight, but I made sure he was good before I was. That's just how I'm built. Still, the city wore on you. Rats, cold nights, empty stomachs. You gotta want it bad to stay in that. I remember sitting in a broken down cab, holding a notepad, writing my heart out while my stomach growled. But I ain't stop. And the more I wrote, the clearer it got. I wasn't running. I was grinding. I ain't just trying to eat for the day. I was trying to feed my soul. That's what Baltimore did. It stripped me down to the bones, made me rebuild with truth. That city taught me to keep moving, even when it's dark, even when it's cold. That's why I ain't fold. That's why I still spit like I ain't got nothing. 'Cause at one point, I didn't. This was me, making my move. Chapter 35. The battle for New York. Baltimore lit that fire in me. Every night, I'd be in the crib, no TV, no distractions, just my pad, my pen, and that bootleg-ass sound system. Still made it work. I'd be up all night dropping bars like, coming from, let me fly, and X is coming. That was my therapy. I didn't even need to hear the beat first. I'd write that pain out, then match it later. I sold my soul to the devil, and the price was cheap. Yo, it's cold in this hell 'cause it's deep. Real talk. I was bleeding truth onto the page. After Niggaz Can't Touch Me Kid flopped, Rough Riders kinda backed off. They weren't really pushing like that. But I ain't stop. I kept writing. I kept battling. I kept showing fools that I was still hungry. Baltimore had some solid MCs, no doubt. But I was out there making them respect my name. One of them was this dude Nardo. He had heat. We clashed once, but I ain't feel like it was finished. I was sitting on so much energy, so many bars, I knew I had to clash again. One night, me and my man jumped in a cab, straight up told the driver, "Yo, we taking a 3-hour ride to the BX." He looked at me wild. I ain't care. I had to make that move. Soon as I hit 145th Street in the South Bronx, 1 a.m., crowd thick. I knew it was wartime. Nardo was already there. Crowd hyped. Jay's crew was with him. Tension in the air, you could feel it. That first round, we went bar for bar. Aggression in every line. Crowd going nuts, each of us spitting like our life depended on it. I'm the last cat to start robbing before spring, 'cause yo, my way is highway robbery. Bars. Heat. That real Shea Chai tea. After the smoke cleared, it was love. We shook hands like warriors. Respect was earned that night. Then I heard somebody in the crowd say, "Yo, your man X just bodied that kid." Even Darren looked at me like, "That's your man?" I didn't know he had it like that. In that moment, I knew it. I still had my crown. I still had my fire. We jumped back in the cab, back to Baltimore. No sleep, no talk. Just that feeling. You know the one. When you prove to the world again that they still gotta say your name with respect. Chapter 36. Somebody's gonna die. It was one of them hot-ass summer afternoons. I was walking down the block, taking the street 'cause I ain't like bumping shoulders on the sidewalk. Too many heads trying to press up, and I wasn't in the mood. That's when I saw Boomer, sitting on the curb, eating lunch with his fam. My boy looked chill, vibing like he always did. I nodded, and he gave me that head nod back. Boom! I ain't even make it 3 steps before I heard that shot. Turned around, and there it was. The van, that dirty-ass van. One of them Be More clowns popped the door open and just let that thing bark. No warning, no target check. Just bam, bam, bam into the crowd. I saw Boomer drop. Man, he ain't even flinch. Bullet caught him slippin' right in the chest. Then another one. And just like that, he was down. My boy was lying on the street, blood spilling out like his soul was leaving right there on the concrete. I lost it. I ain't think. I ain't breathe. My vision went red. I screamed loud as hell, "What the fuck?" I wanted to run up on that van, unload my whole soul into every one of them. My hands was shaking, my jaw clenched. Boomer ain't deserve that. None of us did. Somebody's gonna die. That's all I kept saying to myself. Over and over, over and over. Boomer wasn't just a homie. He was famous. Day one. Been through dirt with me. And now he was gone. Just like that. Like he ain't matter. And the worst part? These motherfuckers ain't even stop. They hit him and kept rolling like it was a game. Like it ain't mean shit. The whole fam was in that van, and they just kept driving. Like my dog's life ain't nothing. I stood there, fists balled, tears falling. I ain't even care who saw. If I had that burner on me, I swear to God, that van wouldn't have made it 2 blocks. I would have lit that bitch up with everything I had. But I didn't. I had nothing. Just rage and pain and that feeling that everything had just changed. I ain't want to hear no prayers. I ain't want to hear, "It's gonna be okay." Fuck that. That was my boy. And all I could do was cry. Chapter 37. Powerhouse. When I got back to Yonkers for good, Waah and Darren had already flipped this old-ass office building downtown into a recording spot. They called it Powerhouse, and that name fit. See, they knew what time it was. If you want to build a real label, you need a place for artists to live in the booth. Yonkers ain't have no real studios back then, so we couldn't just rent out some pro spot like Katz in Mount Vernon or New Rochelle. We had to own our turf. Dean, their brother, was in real estate and handled that part. They bought the joint, turned it into a studio, and made it Rough Rider's home. Every night was like a scene from a movie. Double R cats, producers, beat makers. They'd be there early, eyes glued to drum machines and keyboards. Street kids from every block came through just trying to be part of something. The lounge was full of dudes from the neighborhood just watching, listening, learning. Yonkers ain't never had this kind of energy before. And when the freestyle battles kicked off, man, it was warfare. Brothers from Brooklyn, Queens, Staten Island, they all pulled up to test their pens. Some dudes just chilled. Others, they came to murder mics. That spot became the mecca of bars, and I loved every second of it. When I creep through, Knox is see-through, just like a negligee. You know I had to keep my pen ready. I wasn't just another voice in the room. I was the last line of defense. Sometimes a crew would roll deep, try to shake the spot, and I'd just stand there like, "You sure you want to do this? Get the mayor on the horn. Time for SHT to go down." Ain't matter where a dude was from. When it was time, I'd jump up in that cipher, and they'd feel that loss quick. Win or lose, you had to bring heat, and I was firewalking. While all this was happening, my man Irv Gotti started building too. He had a Queens MC named Mick Geronimo, signed to a small label called TVT. Irv knew what he was doing, though. He had Mike drop a track called Time to Build, and he invited me to spit on it. That track had me, Jay-Z, Ja Rule, all on one joint. I laid my verse, and that was the moment Irv knew I was the one. "Come on, X, don't let me take that," he told me when I walked in with heat. We recorded, and that session turned into a full-blown memory. After that, I started seeing how real the game was getting. I'd be in the projects freestyling. "I'm peeling Naka's caps like oranges, hit him in the head with 2x4 inches. Every rhyme was blood in the water. I was gunning for whoever stepped up. Then Irv hit me with news. He had me lined up to spit last on a track called 4, 5, 6 with Mike. But a few days later, he tells me Jay-Z was going to take that spot instead. I was heated. There wasn't no beef. But still, it felt like I got pushed to the side. I went to the studio and Irv was like, "We got to get the song out." I ain't say nothing. Just stepped in the booth and ripped the beat to shreds. That same night, Suge Knight was in the city. Death Row had come to Manhattan, and Snoop, Corrupt, the whole crew pulled up to Powerhouse. You already know, I didn't give a fuck. I heard they was the hottest out, but they weren't hotter than me. I stepped in, lit the mic up with the meanest shotty I had, and Suge stood there, just watching. "All y'all talking about is death. It ain't nothing but a G thing. But I'm still living, breathing fire into every bar." They saw it. They felt it. I looked at Suge like, "You want this smoke or not?" And I swear, Waah, Darren, Gotti, they all saw what I already knew. I didn't need a label to validate me. I was the label. I was the product. I was the future. After the meeting, they told me the offer from Death Row was off the table. But it didn't even sting. I wasn't built to follow. I was built to lead. Chapter 38. Niggaz done started something. Gotti always said his heart wasn't with Mick Geronimo, not really. He had love for the dude, but his real dream was working with Jay-Z. That part hurt, even though he still showed me love sometimes. But I kept seeing him push the whip to Jay's crib, and I'm over here still stuck in Mulford, wondering why I ain't sitting on stacks like that already. I mean, I'd already dropped Born Loser, battled cats like K-Solo, Lord Finesse, and Bill Blass, and still, no real moves. Everywhere I turned, doors stayed shut. Meanwhile, cats who just came up were eating. 1995 hit, and I was done playing nice. I just said, "Fuck it. Let's take what's ours." That's when Swizz came in. Swizz was Waah's nephew. Kid from the Bronx, still young, but had something in him. After Waah moved to Mount Vernon, Swizz started hanging around, and I saw right away. He had a mind for the hustle. I rolled with him heavy. He wasn't the biggest, but he moved smart. Quiet, focused. But people from the old block started watching. Word on the street was they were hearing my name in whispers again. Especially the young guns, who saw me as some kind of threat. I was already 23, robbing cats since I was 14. They didn't realize I'd been deep in it long before they even had Peach Fuzz. I had cats like Boo Boo feeding me info, telling me who was plotting, who was faking, who was about to fold. "Pull your guns, 'cause you gonna creep, and I done raised y'all. Don't try that." So one day, I noticed this crowd by the corner store just staring. I stepped to him. "What?" You mad I didn't put you on? I wasn't gonna let these little dudes play me like I was some old head slipping. Mulford was right across from School 12, and these kids kept hanging by the fence like they was setting up something. Guns in bags, eyes wide, and nervous energy everywhere. They were planning something. Swizz saw it too. He had a little baby shotgun under his arm and a Glock fully loaded on his hip. First time in a real standoff. I told him, "Don't get your clock run now, motherfucks." We doubled back, and sure enough, they didn't move. They just stood there like we weren't nothing. But we were ready. Even though Swizz hadn't been in a real shootout before, he held strong. I could tell he didn't know all the moves yet, but his instincts were solid. He watched me, took notes. "Steal, kill, and rob with me, dog. Ride till we die, on till it's on." Chapter 39. Harlem. Darren and Waah used to hold it down on 125th Street in Harlem. Most days, they'd pick me up in Yonkers and we'd shoot downtown together. But when they didn't, I just hopped the Metro North to Grand Central, then jumped on the subway, straight to 125th. I had to hustle just to get to myself. Back then, stealing cars was too hot. Cops were wildin', and getting caught with that meant time. So the train was safer. Once you start moving through a block regular, you learn the vibe. Who's watching, who's moving weight, who's ready to pop. Every hood got codes, and if you ain't known, they spot that quick. But once you show face enough, once the right ones vouch for you, you good. Waah introduced me to this cat named Grease. Solid dude. He and his crew, Big Stan, Big Tash, had Harlem locked. They was throwing wild parties uptown and coming back to YO to hit the battlegrounds. Ciphers, battles, real rap, she-tea. Every time I pulled up to that block, them boys had something going. Cards, weed, or beats knocking in the background. I'd spit a few bars, show 'em what I had. And slowly, they started nodding, started respecting it. That's how it always starts, one rhyme at a time. One day, Waah came up like, "Yo, Grease wanna get down with Rough Riders." But Grease wasn't trying to be tied to no team. He was dope. He knew it. But he liked his freedom. Still, Waah made it clear. This wasn't no small-time label. This was legacy in motion. And that hit Grease different. Next thing I know, Grease at Powerhouse every damn day, dropping heat non-stop. He'd hit Harlem in the afternoon, come through in Timbs and a hoodie, drop a few bangers, then dip back home to sleep and do it all again. Dude was on a mission. That whole Powerhouse vibe? It was a factory. Beat after beat. PK was there too, that OG producer, working with Swizz, teaching him the ropes. Swizz was just a youngin' back then. But he watched everything. Learned fast. Had that look in his eye like, "I'm coming for the crown." By then, I was still grinding. I stayed focused. Kept my verses tight. But real talk, I wasn't the favorite in the studio. Rough Riders had their chosen ones. Darren and Waah believed in me, but the machine moved how it moved. Eventually, they got the records. They got the placements. That discipline paid off for them. Just not for me. Not yet. Chapter 40, Let Me Fly. Spring '96. Rough Riders finally stamped the streets official. We locked it in with a deal at Bad Boy, signing Jadakiss, Chic, and Styles, now calling themselves The Locks. Grease laid the foundation, produced our first single, If You Think I'm Jiggy. Puff wanted that joint to pop quick, 'cause he knew it would hit just like the joints from B.I.G., Mace, Faith Evans, and 112. But me? I ain't get no signs from the universe saying this dream was mine. I remember telling Gotti outside the studio one night, "This ST ain't happening for me." I could feel it in my bones. The air was cold. The studio lights was bright. But they ain't light up my path. 12 years of grindin', bleedin', battlin', and this what it came to? Either let me fly or give me death. I wasn't playin'. If I couldn't do what I was born for, then what was the point? Let me go, let me rest. X don't even trip, he told me. Them label suits don't know SAT. Just keep making fire, I looked him dead in the face. You think this rap SAT all I got? This is it for me. This my only way out. The only thing I ever been good at. Long pause. I told him, I think they might make me A&R at Def Jam. Soon as I get in there, I'm gonna... And then Gotti cut me off. I don't want to hear that sh-t. I don't care about no job title. You been doing this for how long? You were born to rap. Then he looked at me and said, you the nicest out here. It's time, but I didn't feel it. I couldn't. I had been told I was next too many times. People hyping me up, but behind my back, they ain't believe. I thought about Tashira, about Xavier, about Boomer. Thought about all them late nights on rooftops, talking to the stars like they was listening. So I said it again, louder this time. Either let me fly or give me death. If I don't fly, I'ma die anyway. I'ma live on, but I'll be gone any day. Chapter 41. Payback on Ravine. Ravine always felt like hell to me, like the devil himself had a P.O. box there. That block was straight cursed. Every dumb move, every sin I ever pulled, most of them happened right there. But I never thought it could get worse. I was wrong. One day, I was chillin' by one of the buildings, just a few feet from the sidewalk, when I saw these young dudes start running. Cops came flying up with lights flashing. Same story every day on Ravine. Police looking to bag someone. And if they ain't got someone in mind, they'll snatch whoever looks suspicious. They thought someone in that building had a murder warrant. But them shorties ran like they shot someone. Didn't help the situation. I tried to calm them down. Why y'all running like that? But it was too late. Cops started wildin'. I went inside to lay low and found a nice little roll of cash on the floor. Like $60. Slid that in my sock, kept moving. Then some older dudes rolled up with their faces all twisted. One of them looked at me and said, "Yo, I lost my chain." I ain't say nothing. I didn't jack nobody. I didn't even know them. One of them called his pops over, this grown-ass man who looked like he stayed mad. Said I robbed his son. He didn't ask, he accused. "You stole my boy's chain." Nah, fam, I ain't touched nothing. But they ain't want to hear it. Couple dudes took off to find backup. I ain't run, I just sat there like, watch. I ain't do nothing. Next thing I know, I got blindsided. One of them snuck me with a sucker punch. They ain't stopped there. They dragged me into the park like I was dead meat. They stomped me out. Heads came from every corner, stomping on my face, my ribs, my whole body. I felt bricks breaking under my skin. Tried to crawl, but they beat me back down. I ain't never felt pain like that. I passed out cold. When I came to, I was bleeding all over. Could barely breathe. My whole body was tight with pain. I had asthma too, so I was losing air fast. Finally, somebody shouted, "Yo, call an ambulance." I made it back to Tashira's. Boo-Boo, God bless her, patched me up best she could. But the pain didn't stop. Days passed, and my face swelled up so bad I couldn't even recognize myself. My jaw was locked. Couldn't eat, couldn't talk. My neck was swollen, chin barely moved. Hospital said I had infection so deep it could have killed me. They said I needed surgery. They talked about my airway being blocked and maybe never breathing right again. But I ain't have no ID, no insurance, not even real clothes left. And nobody wanted to admit me 'cause I looked like street trash. And my mom? She ain't even pick up the phone when Boo Boo called. That's when it hit me. This was payback. Karma, street justice, whatever you call it. 15 years of wildin', stealin', robbin', masking up. Maybe it was finally coming for me. I started wondering, was God trying to teach me something? Felt like he was saying, yo, all that dirt you did? Time to pay the tab. Couldn't even chew food. Had to sip through a straw for months. That pain? Daily. Talking? Forget it. I had to learn to speak all over again. Tashera held it down, though. She read lips. She stood by me. Didn't matter how ugly things got. But deep in my heart, I knew I had a choice. Stay mad, stay broken, or rise. Couldn't get revenge, not in the way I wanted. But I knew one thing. I had to change. I couldn't keep going down this same road, or I was gonna die in these streets. And after all that, I said to God, I'm riding with you now. Can't lose no more. So take me where I need to be. Chapter 42. One more road to cross. That was me talking to God, talking to myself, talking to the game. I ain't just rapping. I was preaching my truth through wired jaws. Every word I spit came from pain, struggle, faith. I was telling him, either let me rise up or let me die trying. Even though my mouth was broke, my spirit wasn't. I kept grinding. A few weeks later, Ron had me back again. He was pushing mixtapes like crack. Ron G was moving weight on the streets, and every 2 weeks, I had a verse on it. I wasn't playing. One of them joints had this beat from Ice Cube's Whatcha Gonna Do, and I came on like, X gon' give it to ya, raw, uncut, straight from the gut. They knew I was different. People in New York started feeling the shift. Word on the street? Who's that? That's DMX. Then Gotti took me up to Def Jam. Told him I was ready. Sat me down in front of Kevin Liles and Lior Cohen. He was the big dog, the white dude running Def Jam. I ain't care who he was, I just wanted to spit. They tried to act slick, like I needed to impress him. I told him, I don't give a fuck. You can come whenever, however. I'ma do what I do. They ain't know what to do with that kind of energy. But Gotti stood up and said, Yo, you don't get it? Bring them up here. They finally agreed. We was going up, that night at Powerhouse. I walked into the studio alone. Beat was already hitting. Brothers paused when they saw me. The room froze. I walked to the mic and said, Yo, throw that beat back on. What? You really want to start war? Yeah. And then I blacked out. Spit everything I had. How do brains taste when they're mixed with steel? Semi-spit fully automatic 'cause it makes the gun louder. Feel. I kept going. One take. Real. Raw. They knew this wasn't rap. This was war music. After that session, everything clicked. Gotti said I was ready. Lior believed it too. DMX wasn't just a name now. It was a storm. They saw it. They felt it. And when I stepped out that booth, I left the building on fire. I called it The Convo. That was my track. A conversation between me and the Lord. Every bar was pain and purpose. Every word was blood, sweat, and survival. And from that day on, one more road got crossed. Chapter 43. Taking it back to the streets. I can feel it coming in the air. Yeah, it's getting close. I wasn't with all that shiny suit, happy-go-lucky bubblegum shit. It was March '97. Puff Daddy was still eating off the death of B.I.G. He dropped that tribute record and shot straight to the top of the charts. Suge and Death Row had already gone nuts the year before, selling crazy off Tupac's posthumous album. But Puff was different. He wasn't raw like that. Dude had the world dancing in the middle of all this pain. Had folks singing and shiny, clubs full, radios booming. Hip-hop was on its glittery, glossy wave. But me? I was still stuck in the shadows. My Timbs stayed muddy and my hoodie stayed black. I ain't have bright lights or confetti, just scars and verses. And deep down, I knew the game wasn't checking for me like that. They wasn't ready for what I had to say. I felt like Def Jam had already put me on the shelf. The streets didn't forget, though. All the pups remembered. They was still in it with me. I knew if I ever got my shot, I was going to bring it back to the gutter, where it started. Back to the block. No shiny suits, no choreo, just pain, struggle, and truth. I kept saying it loud. If y'all lettin' Puff push rap into pop, then I'ma drag it right back down into the dirt. That's what taking it back to the streets really meant. Not a slogan, a mission. Lior Cohen asked me what I wanted changed about my setup. I told him, nothing. Just market me how I am. Let me do my mother fin thing. I wasn't trying to water down my sound for nobody. I wasn't gonna play the game for a quick check. I had waited too long to sell out now. Either y'all take it raw or don't take it at all. So when Def Jam, Rough Riders, and Lior all got on the same page, I knew what time it was. It was finally happening. I wasn't just rapping anymore. I was about to start a revolution. Chapter 44. Who is that last guy? Niggaz will never win. This whole rap game is mine. As hot as you've ever been. I was that in '89. It was late '97. And finally, they was playing my bars on the radio. I had been dropping verses for everybody. LOX, LL, Cameron, Mace, just lacing joints with pure fire. And one of them verses, that 24 hours to live joint, Puff was in the studio when I laid that down. He looked at me and said, "You can do better than that." I ain't even flinch. I gave him something sharper, darker, fewer curses, still real as hell. 24 left until my death, so I'm gonna waste a lot of lives, but I'll cherish every breath. I know exactly where I'm going. I'ma send you there first. And with the shitty that I'll be doing, I'ma send you there worse. Angie Martinez heard it live on Hot 97 and said on air, "Yo, who's that last guy?" And just like that, the world started asking the same question. I was that last guy. The one they ain't see coming. The one they couldn't ignore no more. Puff even tried signing me after that. But my mind was already set. I was on my way. No more shadows, no more background. It was my turn now. Chapter 45. Where my dog's at. The biggest track of my whole damn life started out as a freestyle. It was called Get At Me Dog. Clue had put it on one of them DJ Clue mixtapes, volume 90-something, and the streets was going nuts. That joint had the hood on lock. I did it with the LOX, and heads felt that rawness from the jump. The beat was grimy, the flow was wild, and every word was me. But this was different. This wasn't no studio-polished joint. This was real pain, barking through the speakers. When Waah heard that freestyle, he knew. Said to me, "Let's see what the label can do with this." I told him, "Let's see what I can do." I wrote that whole thing in the hospital, man. Jaw wired up, not even healed yet. Had a pen and pad, spitting the bars in my head, straight from the pit. When I recorded it, they didn't even add no gimmick bark in the mix. That was real. That was how I felt. That bark? It was pain. It was fury. It was me. Def Jam heard it and flipped out. "This the one," they said. Rule and Jay had Time to Build, but I had Get At Me Dog. Gotti said, "Yo X, give us just one song, one joint for the radio." So we locked it in, turned that freestyle into a full single. The beat dropped. I stepped in the booth. Let the world know exactly what I'd been through. What must I go through to show you Eshecht is real? And I really never gave a fuck how ends feel rob and I steal. Not 'cause I want to, 'cause I have to. Y'allins wanna be killers? Get at me, dog. Track was raw, untouched. Sounded like the hood finally got a voice. Flex played it. Then Angie, then everybody. It ain't take long till the city was screaming it. Then the clubs, then the streets, then the world. It wasn't some shiny music video type hit. This was street anthems, dog barks, ripped shirts, and hunger. I remember doing a show in the Bronx. Place went nuts. Crowd crushed in so hard, folks thought I got stabbed. I was just bleeding from that wild love, but I ain't care. I knew what was happening. Where my dogs at? We right here, dog. That track? That was the anthem. Chapter 46, Official Member of Society. Yo, real talk? My rap career ain't feel real until I cash that first check. Yeah, Get At Me Dog was poppin'. I was buzzin' in the streets heavy, record out, fans wildin'. But deep down, I still felt like some shutty could go left. I seen too many dudes get jerked in this game, so I ain't fully believe it. Not yet. Then that Def Jam money came through. I held that check in my hand, and man, it hit different. Not just numbers on a paper. That shit was validation. Green paper saying, "You made it, dog." I remember holding that check like, "This mine for real?" Still felt like a scam. Ray had already hooked me up with a fake license and social security card. Had to hit a check cashing spot just to flip that money into real bread. Took that paper and got me a little gold chain first thing. Next, copped them brand new Reebok DMX joints. Then I went out and grabbed a $2,500 Honda Civic off a dude from Ravine. The whip was basic, but I ain't care. I could finally get what I wanted without asking nobody. Freedom, baby. Me and Tashera was living together now, and the city was showing love. Everywhere we went, folks smiled at us, gave props, offered smoke. They ain't look at me like I was crazy no more. Now it was respect. Every night I was writing, dropping lyrics non-stop in that apartment. I'd sit by the window, hear folks yelling out, "Yo, Spark, Spark." Trying to see if I was home, trying to smoke one. Radio was blowing up. Even chicks that used to ignore me were knocking at my door like, "You got time real quick?" Nah, shorty, not anymore. Me and Tashera bounced from the projects and moved to Jersey. We left almost everything behind. And even though YO was in my heart forever, I knew it was time to grow. Time to level up. We packed up all our clothes, threw them in the car, and bounced middle of the night. Didn't even tell nobody. Just peeled out. That was it. My first real money. My first real exit. No more standing on corners wondering if the dream was real. I ain't ever care about being official before. But that night, cashing that check, I felt it. I was in the system now, an official member of society. Chapter 47. In the lab. Right after that Get At Me Dog joint dropped, the street started buzzing heavy. Folks was already hungry for a full album. They knew what time it was. I kept cooking up at Powerhouse. Lyrics night sessions were always raw, and Grease stayed bringing heat. Me and him was locked in like brothers by then. No extra fluff, just straight up. Yo, X, you ready? We ain't waste time. I'd hit the booth, drop fire, bounce ideas back and forth till the beat bled. Grease would flip it, change up the drums, add layers. Every beat was war ready. That whole studio felt like a battlefield. Me and Grease even hit a TL for a minute. No label yet, just us tucked in a basement with a lil setup. Ain't no fancy studio, no Pro Tools, no A&R, no suits. Just a mic, an MPC, and a couple dreams. Waah and them believed in it early. And Gotti was pushing Bow too. Felt like Def Jam was finally ready to make it official, but before we locked that in, I had one more thing to deal with. The devil. It was like every time I got close to blowing up, that dark voice would whisper again. Where's your guardian angel now, X? I ain't have one. So I made my own. I called him Damien. Damien. I'm right here, my shorty. I'ma hold you down. He had that raspy voice, high-pitched, twisted. I knew he wasn't right, but he felt familiar, Damien. You trying to fuck all these bitches? I'ma show you how. You want power, respect? Then come with me. Every deal we made was blood in, blood out. He'd whisper about cars, Benzes, straps, revenge, pain. And still, I listened, Damien. You remember that dude Sean who did you wrong? He's still breathing, ain't he? It was like I was fighting myself. The good in me versus the rage that built my name. Through all that, I kept dropping verses, bars laced with prayer and pain. I was starting to see the light, but couldn't reach it yet. All I knew was I had to spit 27 years of pain into 16 bars. No filters, just truth. That's when it hit me. This ain't just music. This is survival. Chapter 48. Belly Up. One night, Gotti pulled me to the side. Said he wanted me to meet this cat, Al Monday. Al was tight with this video dude, Hype Williams. You already know Hype was the man back then. Flashy videos, big budget visuals, larger than life. Gotti was like, yo, they want to put you in this flick called Belly. At first I ain't really know if I was feeling it. Hype came off kinda off to me, not in a disrespectful way, but like I didn't fully trust his vibe. Felt like he was hiding something. But Gotti vouched for him, so I gave it a shot. When we finally linked up for the audition, I got it in one take. Boom, nailed it. Even Hype had to admit, the dog got range. Once we started shooting, Hype had us rehearsing like crazy. Multiple takes, same scene, over and over. Dude was a perfectionist. But I kinda liked that discipline. Uncle Ray was my manager at the time, and he kept me grounded. Woke me up 7 a.m. every day, like clockwork. No excuses. We was working. Belly wasn't just a movie role. That sh-t made me sit back and reflect. I started seeing how some of these other cats moved. I peeped Nas, Method, all them. Cool dudes. But I realized they wasn't me. They had industry love. I had street love. Big difference. Hype did me dirty on one scene, though. I was supposed to smash Shorty from the back, but there was mad people on set and monitors all over, so my sh-t wasn't standing at attention, feel me? I ain't like how that played out. Made me look weak. Still, I bodied that role. Even when the scene was shaky, I kept it gangsta. Later, I went and got Boomer tatted on my back. My dog, my heart, gone too soon, so I had to ink that pain permanent. That Get At Me Dog video? I told him, keep that sh-t gritty. No shiny suits, no damn bubble coats, no MTV vibes. I wanted it to look like the complete opposite of that Puffy and May's glamour she. I needed the world to feel real pain, real hunger. But MTV wasn't with it. They said it was too violent, too raw. Refused to air it. Said, "What's this dude saying? Where my dogs at? You got people barking in the club? Nah, this too much." So I told him, "Keep it then. I ain't changing shot." I stood 10 toes down, played the video on local shows, radio, underground, and the streets ate it up. Didn't need no cosign, didn't need no compromise. I was barking way before MTV caught on. Chapter 49. Def Jam, number 1. My second taste of how shady this game could be came when It's Dark and Hell is Hot dropped in the magazines. I was feeling the vibe, blood red, raw energy. They had my name listed under 333526 number 1 next to the Rough Riders logo. Didn't even say DMX. That was my wake-up call. This industry don't move off love. It moves off labels, contracts, and money. But Gotti had warned me. He said Def Jam was under pressure. Lior was fighting hard to keep their heads above water, since Polygram, the parent company, was pushing them to sell. Russell and Lior were sweating, needing a big win, and I was supposed to be that win. Thing is, they ain't just want to win. They wanted a miracle. They'd already dropped major bags, $60 million worth, on names like Method, Redman, Onyx, and they still hadn't hit the jackpot. So here come Gotti, with a new label idea, said, "Yo, we'll call it 333526 number 1. DMX will be the first artist. Let's flip this whole company from inside." They pitched the plan. I'd be the flagship. First one through the gate, the face of the relaunch. I was the dog they were gonna bet the whole kennel on. And I ain't care what label it was. Def Jam, 333, Rough Riders, whatever. I just wanted the world to hear me bark, that's all. Chapter 50. The final call. Somebody tried to set me up that night. Me and Teixeira was chillin' in a bar up in Yonkers, just vibin'. Ever since we moved out to Jersey, I ain't really had a lot of spots I felt comfortable in. But this one? It was home turf. Only place I could really exhale. We sippin', vibin' with a few folks, nothing crazy. Then, out of nowhere, I get the urge to dip, something felt off. Told Teixeira I was finna grab my truck so Boo-Boo ain't gotta walk the whole damn block later. But soon as I stepped out, I blacked out. Next thing I remember, I'm waking up, feeling sick as hell. Tried to keep it moving, went back inside the bar like nothing happened. Grabbed my drink, tried to be chill. But a few minutes later, I'm back at the bar, and the bartender, dude I knew from School Street, looking at me like, "Forget that small stuff, X. You need this." Homie reached under the counter, tossed me a bottle of Henny. I cracked that top, and I swear, there was a damn tissue floating in it. Right then I knew. Somebody laced me. And this wasn't no rookie setup. That was a back-of-the-club bottle of Hennessy-type trap. Premeditated, precise. They knew how I moved, so I left with Teixeira, and I see Karate Kato outside. He knew me. Been a bouncer for years. Dude offers to follow me home in his ride just to make sure I get there. But soon as I hit the street, this other dude, Hip, starts barking at me like I owed him something, acting like I robbed him. Trying to flex, grabs the truck door like he was gonna drag me out. I said, "Yo, fuck that. I still want to drive." They started wildin'. I ain't know who swung first, but hands flew. I got slammed to the pavement. Next thing I know, I'm on the ground, looking up at my man with a .357. This wasn't no regular heat. This was that long-barrel, chrome death wish. I saw his finger twitch. 1 second slower, I wouldn't be here. I ain't asked for that drama. Ain't go out that night looking for war. But that's the price you pay when you live the life I lived. And the only thing running through my head was, damn, all the dirt I done did. All the wars I've been through, is this how I go out? Behind some dumb street beef? All I could do was pray. Chapter 51, May 19th, 1998. That's the day DMX officially changed the game. Def Jam dropped my debut album, It's Dark and Hell is Hot, and that joint went straight to #1 on Billboard. 250,000 sold in the first damn week. And it wasn't just the streets talking, the whole world was listening. Get at me, dog. Fucking with D. Stop being greedy. All them joints hit hard in the clubs, on the block, in the whip. We even dropped that fire remix of How's It Going Down, tossin' the Rough Riders anthem, Swizz's beat hitting like a sledgehammer. Boom, that was the anthem of the whole damn summer. Stop, drop, shut 'em down, open up shop. Rough Riders roll. Whole industry got shook. And yeah, Let Me Fly was on there too. Me speaking from the soul. I had Damien on there, talking to the devil. But don't get it twisted. I also had prayers. Real ones. Folks forget that part. This was the album that dropped while I had a pending assault case. They had me painted like a menace. But my music? My music told the whole truth. Now fast forward to Flesh of My Flesh, Blood of My Blood. Dropped that same year, December 22nd, 1998. Another #1. That's 2 #1 albums in 1 damn year. Ain't nobody done that before. It was history. And I ain't even realize how deep it was till later. I put my whole soul in those first 2 albums. They weren't just tracks. They was me. Bleed on the mic. That's why the fans felt it. That's why the streets rode for me. And to Shara? She was right there through it all. One day she told me, "Earl, we getting married when you come home." I ain't even had a ring yet. But I knew I had to show up and show out. Took myself to Harlem and grabbed a clean white Versace suit. I looked in the mirror that day and thought, damn, I ain't never looked this sharp before. That wedding hit different. My angel in all white, looking like a queen from heaven. I didn't deserve her love, but she gave it anyway. No matter the darkness, she stayed light. I knew I had to pay that back, somehow. So to my girl who rode with me through the trenches, after all the bulls comes, you'll get yours, 'cause it's due. Epilogue. Look inside your soul, that's where the answer's been at. Where you from, where you headed, it's all right there. Hey yo, I ain't changing nothing about my story, dog, not a thing. It's 4 in the morning. Sky outside black and still, thermostat say 85. Spotlight hitting soft on the TV, but it's off, just vibing. It's like if I wasn't where I'm at now, I wouldn't even be here. Not just where I'm at, but who I became. Yo, I seen my pops just once, one single time. He ain't say nothing that stuck. My mom's? She painted pictures of pain I still can't forget. When I was just a shorty, she told me straight up, I never wanted you. And man, I carried that with me my whole life. That pain, that emptiness, it molded me. Shaped how I walk, how I talk, how I trust. Or don't, made me search for something solid, even if it was dark. Made me reach for God, even when I ain't know what prayer to pray. See, I've been through it, all of it. 30-something years of getting lost, choosing wrong, surviving the hood, the hate, the hand I was dealt. But somehow, I made it. Now, I see how God was holding me before I even knew his name. He stayed 10 toes down for me, even when I dipped. I ain't never known a love like that before. That deep, loyal kind of love that ain't conditional. And I know now. Messing with thug life? Yeah, I missed it all. You opened the door, and I stepped in. I ride for this cause. Now let's begin. Every prayer you gave me, I gave him back. Same God who gave light to my darkness. In fact, ain't no rain in my chest no more. Only sun, ain't no pain in my bones. Just real love, one-on-one, washed away tears I thought would never fade. I'm happier now than I ever been. Yeah, even after all that pain. Yo, you been lucky? Nah, it wasn't luck. I'm alive because I'm blessed. But what about all that hurt, right? Yo, to live? That's to suffer. Real talk, the chosen ones? They struggle the hardest. God ain't letting you skip the grind. He wants you to feel that pain so when you rise, you know it was him that pulled you up. And when he does lift you, it ain't random, it's 'cause he got plans, bigger than you imagined. Me? He gave me a voice, a path. Not to flex, but to speak truth. I ain't here to sell out. I ain't never cared for a sale or dollar signs. I write my truth, spit it raw, live it. Now, I see the blessings clearer. What if I die? Then what I said gone still echo. I'll still be here. Through the bars, the lyrics, the scars. Folks miss it sometimes. They blinded by the diamonds, the chains, the glamour. But this music, this pain, it means something. It's bigger than a track. It's survival. I stood by that window like, yo, I don't know if I'm built for this rap life no more. 5 years, that's what I told him. But I look in my son's face, see what God gave me. That boy smile like he gave me a second shot at life. So yeah, I still got dreams. Dreams that matter. And if I ever get another shot to spit from the soul, I'ma say, to God, you gave me that voice, and I'ma use it. You gave me scars, and I turned them into music. You gave me a son, and I'll teach him how to stand tall. You gave me pain, but that's what taught me to feel it all. And yo, don't get it twisted. I ain't no saint. Still got rage. Still wrestle with my demons. I'm just learning not to let them drive. See, folks see me now, see the millions, the fame, the clout. But what they don't see, the war behind my eyes. This rap game, it was never about money to me. It was always about speaking life into death. Truth into noise, pain into purpose. So yeah, I'm tired. But I ain't done. And when they say, yo, where X at? Maybe I left the building, maybe not. But I promise you this, you gon' feel me forever. That's the end of the story, dog. A legend's words, a legend's life. If that hit you somewhere deep, you already know what to do. Like the video. Drop a comment, share the message, and most important, subscribe so you don't miss the next real one. 'Cause around here, we don't do fake. Only truth. Only legacy. Only X. Rest in peace to the dog. And if you still feel him after all this time, then he ain't never really left. Peace. Until the next one.